Ford for our special coverage of Gerald R. Ford.
And now we send it to Ed Henry and Suzanne Malveaux in the Situation Room for Wolf Blitzer.
Thanks, friend Don. To our viewers, you're in the Situation Room, where new pictures and information are arriving all the time.
Standing by, CNN reporters across the United States and around the world to bring you today's top stories.
Happening now, Saddam Hussein in the shadow of death. It's midnight in Baghdad, where some reports suggest the ousted Iraqi leader could be executed in the coming hours or even at any minute. We'll have live updates on this developing story, and we'll ask Hussein's lawyer what he knows about the timetable for Saddam's hanging.
Also this hour, tough questions for a presidential candidate. Is Democrat John Edwards ready to give up on Iraq? We'll talk at length with the former senator about his change of heart on the war and his White House prospects.
Plus, prayers and presidential honors. The first in a series of memorial services for Gerald Ford is underway right now in California. And we've gotten a first glimpse at his widow since his death. We'll take you there. Wolf Blitzer is off today. I'm Ed Henry.
And I'm Suzanne Malveaux. And you are in the Situation Room.
This hour, heightened tension, suspense, and some confusion in what could be Saddam Hussein's final hours.
One of Hussein's lawyers tells us the toppled Iraqi leader has been transferred from U.S. to Iraqi custody and could be executed very shortly. And an advisor to Iraq's prime minister says the paperwork for Hussein's execution is in order.
But on a day of conflicting reports about Saddam's fate, nothing is certain until there is official word that he is indeed dead. Let's check in with that member of Hussein's defense team right now, Giovanni Di Stefano. He's on the phone from Rome. And I first want to ask you, I spoke to you a couple of hours ago, and you told me that you were getting word from a credible source that this execution could happen within a couple of hours. It's been a couple of hours. What do you know right this minute about Saddam Hussein's fate?
Well, we know nothing further than what I told you a couple of hours ago there. Obviously, as lawyers, we have to make the provisions for the client and the family for in the event that the worst should happen. Now, as I understand it, there is confirmation from the Defense Department in the United States that they say that as of now, they still have custody of Saddam Hussein. Now, I understand that is the position because at the moment as we speak, Nick Gilman, our lawyer from Washington, is in the district court in Washington before a judge with notice to the State Department there for a stay precluding the United States from handing him over. So although he may have been physically handed over, the United States may very well have had a clause to effectively take him back in the event that Judge Sullivan grants the temporary restraining order, in which case his life would then be spared, at least for a period of time, or until such further order of the court. That is the position as we speak now. But
okay,
if the execution takes place, if it does take place, obviously we can put steps in order that the bodies of the three people who are being executed will, of course, go to their families.
Okay,
that is the situation.
Mr. Di Stefano, I just want to clarify a point there that's very important. You told me earlier that you received an email a few hours ago from the U.S. military saying that Saddam Hussein had been turned over from the U.S. to the Iraqi authorities. You're now saying that he may have been turned back to the U.S. authorities?
No, the email certainly came not just to me, it came to other lawyers as well on the defense team there. That was timed at 4:47. But since the United States were on notice that there would be a hearing today before a district judge in Washington, they may, I just say may, very well, and if they are, wise they would have done, had a clause to be able to take Saddam Hussein back in the event that the district judge granted a temporary restraining order, because if that didn't happen, if in other words they still gave Saddam Hussein to the Iraqis, despite a temporary restraining order, it would be a contempt of court and an impeachable offence for President Bush.
So just to be clear here, where is Saddam Hussein physically right now?
Well, the State Department say that they still have control of him there. That is in the last 1 hour.
As his attorney, do you know where he is?
Well, I'm in Rome in Italy. The other lawyers are in Oman. We have one lawyer in Baghdad. You know, a whole state of confusion has arisen here. We have conflicting emails, but the email that I prefer to believe is from the American government. And the American government have told us that at 4:47 they handed him over to the Iraqis. But an hour ago, the American government have said, we still have control of Saddam Hussein. I am saying why I believe that that may be the case, because of the impending ongoing action, which is, as we speak, before the district court in Washington.
No.
So what is your understanding about what happens next here? When that transfer, the official transfer happens, do you know if there will be pictures of Saddam Hussein's execution? Will you get a heads up on this? Will the United States, the Iraqi authorities, walk us through this procedure, because it has been very confusing this afternoon?
Well, I mean, confusing is the key word there. 2 weeks ago, there were 13 executions in Baghdad, of which 2 of them were shown on television. And in fact, all 13 were paraded on television, but 2 were actually shown. So I don't know the position with Saddam Hussein and with al-Takriti and with Mr. Badr al-Banda, because we're talking about 3 executions, not 1.
Okay, now also the NewYorkTimes.com is reporting that another one of Saddam Hussein's lawyers was asked to come collect his belongings. Can you confirm that?
Oh, I mean, there's nothing unusual in that, as we understand it. That occurred early this morning because Saddam Hussein had an awful lot of stuff in his cell. And the regulations, the American regulations, ironically the health and safety regulations, said you couldn't have more than 25 kilos of stuff within your cell. He had far more than that in documentation there, and that was another state of confusion that arose there. We will not know until after I hear from Mr. Gilman, who's in the district court as we speak. If a temporary restraining order has been granted, then Saddam Hussein is going nowhere.
Is it true that Saddam Hussein's half-brothers visited him in prison just yesterday, and that he presented one of those brothers with a will to state his intentions? Are you aware of that?
Yes, I am. And of course, he's 70 years of age, and there's nothing abnormal whatsoever. And in the situation that he faced, with a sentence of death and with a confirmation of a sentence of death, it is the appropriate and correct thing to, and responsible thing to do. Remember, Saddam Hussein is a lawyer.
Okay, now earlier you also told me that you had passed on and authorized a power of attorney to someone else in Baghdad to actually collect the body eventually from the Iraqi government. Can you talk about that, first of all? And secondly, what are the intentions of the Hussein family? My understanding is they want the body to go to Jordan.
Well, I mean, the body belongs to the family, belongs to the next of kin. It doesn't belong to the government. And that's the same, of course, under American law, English, Italian law, in any civilized law. And in the event, and I hope it's the unlikely event, but in the event that Saddam Hussein, Mr. al-Takriti and Mr. al-Banda are executed, obviously the families want the bodies, and they want the bodies sooner rather than later. And there is, of course, a power of attorney, because you can't simply go and claim a body if you have no power of attorney.
How is Saddam Hussein spending his last hours? Do you know if he is talking with relatives? Is he reading? Is he eating? And when is the last time that you've actually talked with Saddam?
Well, I mean, that occurred more than 2 weeks ago there. I mean, I'm still hoping and praying that there will be no execution, and that the meeting of the 4th of January and other meetings that were scheduled by the American military will actually take place. I pray that Judge Emmett Sullivan does grant the temporary restraining order, because if he does, it will save a lot of people's lives, not just Saddam Hussein.
But in your discussions with fellow attorneys, do you know what is happening with Saddam Hussein? Do you know how he's spending his final hours?
Well, his final hours, what are the final hours of any person there? Who knows? It's a state of confusion, and I'm sure that Saddam Hussein will probably be as confused as what we all are as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about the procedure? There were reports that there's a red card that Iraqi authorities will hand to Saddam Hussein directly. It's the red card that was used by Saddam's own secret police, informing people they were going to be killed, that he's going to get this red card. And the judge in the appeals court has said that they're very close to giving him this red card. What do you know about the procedure and how he will be notified?
Well, I can only know the procedure by what occurred 2 weeks ago on the executions. There were no red cards that I saw, and of course it's not a game of soccer. And it would be wrong, in my view, it would be vindictive and wholly retributive, and it's not what the Iraqi people or anybody would want. If this man had received a fair trial, if he'd received a proper trial, and if he had been convicted in a fair trial, if he'd been sentenced to death on a fair trial, I'm sure you find that there would be a trickle of blood that would be spilt instead of a river of blood that will occur if he is executed under these circumstances.
Questions?
Okay. We thank you very much for your time. We're going to check back often with you throughout this hour and the following hour in the Situation Room. We thank you very much, Giovanni Di Stefano, one of Saddam Hussein's attorneys. Now let's get the latest word from Iraq on the timetable for Saddam Hussein's hanging. CNN's Anish Rahman is there. Can we talk a little bit about what you just heard, react to that from Saddam Hussein's attorney, but also, more importantly, obviously, what you're hearing there on the ground, Anish?
Yeah, Ed, first point that we can clarify, an appellate judge from the Iraqi High Tribunal has told us that there will be no live broadcast of Saddam Hussein's execution. That's the only official word we've gotten in terms of what Iraqis and, in fact, the world will see of this execution. The big question right now, to simplify this confusion, is where is Saddam Hussein? U.S. officials have been adamant up to this point saying he remains in their custody. We've heard, though, from a number of defense lawyers, as you heard there, that Saddam was handed over earlier today. Why is this so critical? That handover is a final step before this execution takes place. In fact, that appellate judge has said once that handover happens, the execution will happen almost immediately. Now, the notion that was raised there by Mr. Di Stefano of the U.S. taking Saddam back into custody seems highly unlikely on the ground. It would clearly, by Iraqis, be seen as a process that is being hijacked from them. We can tell you, though, there are a number of indicators that this execution is impending. A number of high government officials have been told to be on alert to wait word from the Prime Minister's office.
Anish, you were saying that this execution is not going to be broadcast live to the Iraqi people. Will there be a videotape that will be made available at some point? How will the Iraqi people be reassured that, in fact, this hanging has occurred?
It is a critical point, Suzanne, because the Iraqis will fester with gossip that perhaps this hasn't happened unless they see the actual video or picture. We don't know, simply put. The Iraqi government has been very tight-lipped. Some officials have suggested that they will videotape it, making it unclear, though, when that video will be released. Others that perhaps still photos will be released. We'll simply have to wait and see. The government has been remarkably silent and tight-lipped on these plans because they haven't wanted to disclose when the execution will happen for security reasons, and given the sensitivity on the ground, Suzanne.
Thanks very much, Anish. We appreciate it. The latest
Anish.
information there on the ground. We'll be checking back often with Anish. Still ahead, we're also tracking new information as it comes in on the execution of Saddam Hussein. Will his hanging help President Bush's Iraq problem here at home? The war and Saddam's death sentence in our strategy session.
Also ahead, Democratic presidential candidate John Edwards. Is his personal wealth at odds with his political message? Edwards talks with us at length about his campaign and the criticism of him.
And the Mile High City knee-deep in snow yet again. How bad is it likely to get on the roads and at the airport? We'll have a live report on Denver's second dose of winter misery. You're in the Situation Room.
If you want to quit smoking, today's your day. Introducing new Commit Cherry Lozenges. Quitting smoking just got a little tastier.
Introducing the cure for the winter cold, Cancun. Come golf, spa, shop, or just soak up some rays. Discover the Mayan Gold Coast. Visit Cancun.info.
At Coors, we have a responsibility to help prevent underage drinking. As a parent, I understand that responsibility. 75% of teens say parents are their #1 influence as they decide to drink or not. That's why Coors brings you MVParents.com, a website built by Search Institute, experts on youth development. Here you'll find tools to empower your teens to make the right decisions. So visit MVParents.com and know that we at Coors are as committed as you are to preventing underage drinking.
I can't believe it.
Would you like to win $10 million from Publishers Clearinghouse?
Oh, yeah!
Go to PCH.com at once. Or enter by mail, and our next $10 million winner could be you.
I'd heard that eHarmony was the place to go. New Year's Eve day, I said, I'm ready for eHarmony.
Make this the year that it happens for you. It all starts with your personality profile. Yours free when you visit eHarmony.com today.
From all of us, happy holidays and best wishes in 2007.
Hope you join me at the most exciting place on earth, Times Square on New Year's Eve. Join me live with celebrations from around the world. CNN, New Year's Eve, 11 p.m.
Your fireplace adds so much to your home, and Gordon's can add even more. Gordon's Fireplace Shop and Home Decor. Selection second to none. Glass screens, fire accessories, high-efficiency natural gas fireplaces, plus home furnishings that will add to the warmth of your home. Portland's finest selection of fireplace screens, gas logs, and gas fireplaces on sale today. Everything for your fireplace. Gordon's Fireplace Shop and Home Decor. Open 7 days a week.
Hi, Mula.
How you doing? Hello. How you doing? You save el Mula.
Save moolah. Sign up for Comcast Digital Voice for just $39.95 a month, every month. With unlimited local and long distance plus voicemail. Because the less money you pay, the more you get to keep for yourself. Just call 1-888-COMCAST. Comcast Digital Voice. It's Comcastic.
The State Funeral of Gerald Ford on CNN and CNN Pipeline, Tuesday morning starting at 6 Eastern.
Warning in the Crawford, Texas area. That's, of course, where President Bush is. Also, we find our White House correspondent, Elaine Quijano, there. We understand this has affected the president. When do you tell us, Elaine?
Yeah, just a few minutes ago, actually. In fact, as we speak, Deputy Press Secretary Scott Stanzel telling reporters that an earlier tornado warning around 2 o'clock local time actually sent the president and the First Lady to seek shelter. Now, we're told that this was actually something that the president did going from the house to the armored vehicle that was on site on the president's ranch. Both the president and the First Lady doing that because of these tornado warnings. One of them, again, specifically around 2 o'clock local time. We should tell you, we've had about 2 of them so far, as I can recall here, and severe weather continues as we speak. But the president, of course, in addition to the weather activity, of course, monitoring the activities overseas as well. The president, we are told, receiving regular updates. As part of that, the regular briefings that he's received, updates on Saddam Hussein as well. But in terms of any kind of comment or public events for the president, we haven't seen anything, and there is nothing scheduled, Ed or Suzanne, for the president until he returns to Washington. But aides say he continues to monitor the situation very closely.
And Elaine, just to be clear, Elaine, we know that the president and the First Lady are safe, that there is no harm, that they are, in fact, out of danger.
Yes, and we hope to get some more information, as I said just a minute or so ago before you came to me, is when in fact I was learning about this. But we know, again, this was happening around 2 o'clock when the tornado warning was issued here. And a warning, of course, as you know, is when something is actually spotted on the ground. The president and the First Lady ushered from the house to seek shelter in the armored vehicle that was on site. And as far as we know, the president and the First Lady are just fine. We'll try to get some more information for you. Ed and Suzanne.
Elaine, thank you so much, and of course, be safe.
That's right, and we'll be getting back to Elaine to talk about Saddam Hussein as well. Still ahead, Saddam Hussein reveals how he'd like to be remembered. Hear what he had to say in a rare CNN interview.
And James Brown's final journey home will have the latest on the emotional send-off for the godfather of soul. Here in the Situation Room.
You are my sister, young, old, red, black, or white. Our common bond is this breast cancer fight.
If you were my sister, I would say you should know your breast cancer could come back.
So it's perfectly normal to be afraid.
But you can fight fear with information.
Learn everything you can.
Things keep changing.
There are treatments after surgery that can help reduce the risk significantly.
For information, call or go to getbcfacts.com.
Talk to your doctor about your risk of recurrence.
Find out about treatment choices.
If you're already on treatment, stay on it.
Just like your doctor says.
If you were my sister, I would say,
make a promise to yourself
to keep fighting.
If you were my sister, I would say, honey, don't be afraid. We'll get through this together.
To get your free information kit on the risk of recurrence, call 877-753-4174 or go to getbcfacts.com.
The
There's the week, there's the weekend, and then there's the weekender.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the subscription from the New York Times, I love it.
Like your whole weekend's just started. It's come a little early.
So the deal is you call the 1-800 number, and then you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $3.25, which is half off, which is pretty crazy.
So you get the Friday paper, and boom, you're right into the weekend.
Saturday. The word alone makes me happy. I love to sort of pull everything out of the Sunday paper.
Travel section.
Magazine.
Weekend review.
The international news.
The book review.
I got these really great boots after reading the Sunday style section.
All I did was call the 1-800 number.
I'm not one of those call now people.
Call!
You should call now.
I love to have the New York Times delivered.
Who doesn't like to save money?
Call now because it's a great deal.
It's like having a table of contents for everything in the world.
I mean, how much would you give for that?
The Weekender subscription from the New York Times. Get it now for as low as $3.25 a week. Call 1-800-727-7464.
Who doesn't like to start the weekend a day early?
Between my two phone bills, it's probably about $60 a month.
About $150.
Probably $100 a month.
With Vonage, you get unlimited calls to anywhere in the U.S. and Canada, and all the cool features you could ever want are included. And it's just $24.99 a month.
Call 1-800-971-4510 and get your first month of Vonage service free. That's a value of $24.99. Vonage, the better way to phone for less.
Saddam Hussein's expected execution in the hours ahead, yet another milestone in a war that many Democrats want to see end sooner rather than later.
Among those pushing for a quick pullout, the newest member of the Democratic presidential field. Joining us now, former Senator John Edwards. Senator, welcome to the Situation Room.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you want to be commander-in-chief, and in your first move, you would take 40 to 50,000 U.S. troops out of Iraq. Do you really believe the Iraqi government could survive?
Now, here's what I believe. I believe that an escalation of our presence in Iraq is an enormous mistake. I think this McCain doctrine doesn't make any sense. There is no military solution to what's happening in Iraq. Everyone knows that. The only solution, potential solution, is a political solution. I mean, the Iraqis are going to have to decide whether they're actually going to have a representative government that includes everybody, including the Sunnis, and that's the only way to ultimately tamp down this violence. So if the idea is that we put more troops there and we stay there over an extended period of time for years, and somehow that's going to solve this underlying political problem, it's just not reality.
But, Senator, I want to ask about you, not about Senator McCain. You want to pull 40 to 50,000 U.S. troops out of Iraq. Do you just want to give up?
Yes.
You want to give up?
No, no, sir. I think we have two choices, and it's basically they're bad and worse. We're in a very difficult situation. Nobody can say, certainly with not any honesty, that the path that they're proposing will be successful in Iraq. We're in a very difficult situation. Here's what I believe. I believe that the smartest and best thing for America to do is to make it clear that we're not going to stay in Iraq forever, that we're going to leave. I think that's the way to shift the responsibility to the Iraqis to have the kind of political solution that they need. And I think the best way to signal that we're going to leave is to actually start leaving. And there are a large number of provinces in Iraq that are in fact secure. Obviously not Baghdad, not the Sunni Triangle, but there are places from which we could remove troops.
But, Senator, the one thing that al-Qaeda has said consistently is they want a nation state, they want Iraq, and commanders on the ground inside of Iraq and Baghdad say, you pull U.S. troops out now, that's exactly what you're going to give them.
Well, here's the question. Is America going to stay in Iraq for the next 20 years? I mean, are we going to have 150,000 troops in Iraq or 100,000 troops for the next 20 years? Al-Qaeda is a long-term,
Mr. Senator, I'm sorry, but the question the president faces, of course, is whether or not an immediate troop withdrawal is necessary or a surge. You are arguing that we should withdraw troops. The president is considering perhaps putting more troops in, as well as your Democratic colleagues. How do you support that when so many commanders on the ground say that is not the right thing to do?
Every commander in Iraq, every military person that I've talked to about Iraq says there is no military solution to Iraq. Putting the argument that Senator McCain and the president, I presume, is going to make is that if we put more troops in Iraq, we can help stabilize the violence, and by stabilizing the situation on the ground, we can ultimately reach a political solution. I don't even think they would argue that anything other than a political solution is the solution to Iraq. That's obvious. So I just think they're wrong about that. This is a judgment that has to be made. I think the most effective way to shift this responsibility to the Iraqi government to reach a political solution is to start shifting it to them now. Now, there is a risk associated with that, in fairness, in being self-critical. There is a risk associated with that. The risk is, as we embed American troops in Iraqi forces, that they become greater at risk when we're reducing our presence over time. That's the risk associated with what I'm suggesting.
Now,
but there are risks associated with every proposal that anybody makes has risks associated with it. And what we have to do is make our best judgment about what makes sense. And this is my best judgment about what we should do.
Okay, now, Senator, you voted for the war in 2002. I know you've said you were wrong. It was a mistake. But you said at the time, quote, Saddam Hussein is a tyrant and a menace. He's doing everything in his power to get nuclear weapons. Saddam Hussein is about to be executed. We all know that. Do you think the president at least deserves some credit for getting that part of the job done?
I think the American military deserves credit for their success in Iraq and for capturing Saddam Hussein. And Saddam Hussein being out of power and being executed is a good thing.
Are you concerned that there may be more terrorism directed at the United States, more attacks on U.S. soldiers after Saddam is executed, though, that might spark more violence?
No, I think, first of all, there's no way to predict what's going to happen. But my gut tells me that it's likely to have a more positive than negative influence. But I think the most important thing about what's happening in Iraq is the fighting and the violence, the sectarian, the Shia-Sunni violence that's going on now is being driven by the fact that the Sunnis don't have a stakehold in the long-term success of a unified government. And unless and until that happens, we're going to continue to see the violence that we're seeing now.
Now, Senator, you have said that your vote, of course, for the Iraq War was a mistake, obviously looking to the American people to forgive you for that mistake. But a likely opponent of yours, Senator Barack Obama, has been very consistent on this position against the war from the very beginning. Why shouldn't the American people believe that this is simply just a convenient message, a flip-flop on your part, if you will, to win the vote?
Well, you're making all the arguments today. The answer to that question is I said what I said about the war in Iraq, not for politics, not for any reason other than I think it's important for all of us to take responsibility for what we did. I voted for this war. I take responsibility for that. I don't put responsibility on anybody else, whatever the consequences of that are, political or otherwise, more important, personal. I accept those responsibilities. And I think what I'm asking America to do today as a candidate for President of the United States is I'm asking Americans to take responsibility for their own country, not just for their individual responsibility, their individual actions, but to actually be patriotic enough to not wait for just the government to solve their problems or the president to solve their problems, but to take responsibility and take action. It's what my campaign is about, and it's what it's based on. Well, it's a little hard to do that if I don't personally take responsibility for what I've done, good and bad. And I've done good and bad. I'm not perfect. I'm human, just like everybody else.
And of course, Americans had their choice in 2004. They didn't pick Kerry. Your home state, North Carolina, did not pick you. Why do you think that this message of two Americas is going to resonate any more so with the American people than it did when you first presented it? It's no longer a fresh or new idea.
And it's not the basis for my campaign. What I have learned, I'm like a lot of people, we all mature and evolve as we go through life. And what I've learned is it's a wonderful thing to identify a problem, which I did with the two Americas in 2004, to talk about hope and inspiration, which I've done an awful lot in the past. But it doesn't change things. If you want to change things, you actually have to take action. You have to take responsibility. I've actually seen it happen in the last few years where we raised the minimum wage and made college available to kids who were willing to work and organized workers around the country into unions. You can't wait and hope that the next election is going to produce a president or a political leader who will solve your problems. America at its best is when Americans themselves take action. That's what the greatest generation did, the government and American citizens working together. It's what America needs again. We can't just sit home and complain about somebody else not doing what they're supposed to. All of us have to do this and take our own responsibility.
Senator, as a last question, you've talked about ending poverty, but you know the attacks are out there already. In 2004, Republicans said you were a wealthy trial lawyer, and they used that as a negative. Now already the New York Post, the headline was "A State of Denial," talking about your anti-poverty campaign at the time, same time you're buying a $3.1 million beach house. Do you have an image problem?
Well, at the risk of arguing with you, your facts were completely messed up, but I won't go into that. Doesn't matter. The truth is that I've now had everything you could ever have in this country. And I have been totally open about that. Everybody knows it. It's not the place I started from. I make jokes now about being the son of a mill worker because everybody's heard that ad nauseum. They don't want to hear it anymore. But I came from a very different place. And I've been lucky enough to have everything you could ever have in this country. And I feel a responsibility to help people help themselves. It's for you and the American people to judge whether they think that's real and authentic. I believe it is, but that's not my judgment to make. It's for people who are listening and hearing what I have to say to make.
And Senator, as a final question, obviously your wife had breast cancer at the end of the last campaign. How is your family now as you approach this campaign, and how did that change your outlook on life, obviously having such a close loved one go through such a battle like that?
Well, you know, I'm like millions of Americans. I don't claim to be unique, and we certainly don't claim to be unique in some of the things that we've faced. You know, Elizabeth went through breast cancer. She's doing great, to answer your question, doing very well. My kids are doing great. They're in school in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, where we live. My older daughter, we're all doing fine. And you know, as Elizabeth has talked about a lot, we lost our son about 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago, which was a traumatic event in our family's life. But we've been blessed, you know, and what I've done is made the decision in my own heart that the best way for me to serve this country is to run for president. And that's what this is about for me. It's about service.
Thank you very much, former Senator John Edwards. Of course, it was exciting to cover you the last time in the campaign, and we'll have more good times on the road, I'm sure, in the following years to come. Thank you again for joining us in the Situation Room.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And new polls show John Edwards is among the top contenders in the early presidential battlegrounds. A new American Research Group survey of likely Democratic caucus goers in Iowa shows Senator Hillary Clinton leading the pack 11 points ahead of Edwards. Outgoing Iowa Governor Tom Vilsack and Senator Barack Obama round out the top four. In New Hampshire, Senator Clinton also comes out on top. The ARG poll of likely Democratic primary voters shows Senator Obama a close second in the Granite State, followed by Edwards. It is worth noting that the 2004 Democratic nominee, John Kerry, gets only single digits in both states. Now to the Republicans. The ARG poll of likely GOP caucus goers in Iowa shows former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani narrowly leading Senator John McCain. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich comes in third. It's a similar matchup among Republicans in New Hampshire, but there it's McCain who has a slight edge. Outgoing Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney doesn't break out of single digits in either state.
And coming up, President Bush and the First Lady are forced to take evasive measures because of a tornado warning in Texas. They were actually moved to an armored car.
Plus, a new development in Saddam's pending execution as his legal team takes their fight to a U.S. court to stop his execution. Coming up, we'll talk with one of Iraq's representatives to the United Nations as we all await Saddam's fate.
Don't let the year end without seeing our bold new lineup at the Dodge Premier event. The all-new Nyko is pumping adrenaline alongside the fuel-efficient new Dodge Caliber. They join the newly redesigned Durango, Dakota with best-in-class overall interior room, and Dodge Ram, the longest-lasting line of pickups.
Before the year's over, get $5,000 cash allowance on Ram 1500 or grab great deals on our remaining 2006 models.
Check out Ram and all of our bold lineup before the year is over.
Hello, I'm Lindsay Wagner. You know, if you're frustrated by the quality of your sleep or because you have morning back pain, please give us a call right now. It won't cost you a thing except a minute of your time. We'll immediately send you this free video and brochure with all the details about this amazing bed. including complete descriptions of all our bed models, prices, and options. You'll have all the information you need to make a decision that can truly make a difference in your sleep.
It's been amazing the difference that the Sleep Number bed has made with my sleep personally. I have not woken up with back pain at all, not once since we've gotten it.
I switched from an inner spring mattress to a Sleep Number bed, and now I sleep better than ever.
It's the only bed I know of that's clinically proven to improve your sleep quality and relieve back pain. And it also costs about the same as a traditional inner spring mattress, yet it lasts twice as long. Now, like most of us, before I got my Sleep Number bed, I used to toss and turn during the night. I'd wake up, roll over, find a comfortable position, and then go back to sleep. But on a Sleep Number bed, I actually sleep all the way through the night. And I didn't realize I wasn't getting a good night's sleep until I experienced one on a Sleep Number bed. I also noticed that I have more stamina during the day, and I know it's because I'm getting a more recuperative sleep. So why don't you call us right now and see if it isn't true for you as well.
Call for your free information kit. Sleep Number beds are easy to own, coming in all standard sizes with queen-size mattresses starting as low as $20 a month. Learn about our 20-year limited warranty and risk-free 30-night in-home trial. Call 1-800-289-6100. On a Sleep Number bed by Select Comfort, you can fall asleep faster, sleep more soundly, and wake up more refreshed. Call 1-800-289-6100. We'll rush you this free video, brochure, and price list. That's 1-800-289-6100. The Sleep Number bed is the key to a perfect night's sleep. Call now.
This New Year's, send your resolutions to CNN and show us how you ring in 2007. Go to CNN.com and click on I Report to find out how. Then watch Anderson Cooper live from Times Square, New Year's Eve starting at 11 p.m. Eastern, only on CNN.
A new development just in on, of course, the state of the execution of Saddam Hussein. It's a confusing and rapidly developing story. It is now back in the hands of the U.S. courts. We go to Brian Todd for the latest details, this latest twist on the fate of Saddam Hussein. Brian, what can you tell us?
Suzanne, a lot of moving parts here. CNN has confirmed that attorneys for Saddam Hussein are seeking a temporary restraining order in a U.S. court to at least temporarily block his execution. I'm holding up the document that was just filed in U.S. District Court here in Washington. It says here, Saddam Hussein, by counsel, submits this application for a temporary stay of execution pursuant to the equitable powers of this court. This document states that Saddam has been named as a defendant in a civil action and has not essentially had due process to deal with that action, and that his incarceration has prevented him from receiving proper due process in that civil action. Now, this is predicated, I guess, upon him still remaining in U.S. custody. It's not clear at this hour whether he is still in U.S. custody or whether he's been handed over to the Iraqis. We're told that there is a district judge on call here at U.S. District Court here in Washington. She will be the one who will be, I guess, weighing in on this. However, there is no precedent for a U.S. court getting involved in this kind of an action, and there's been no word from the Justice Department yet on this particular filing. But as we know right now, with this document just filed at U.S. District Court here in Washington, Saddam Hussein's attorneys, at least temporarily, trying to block his execution.
And Brian, just to be clear here, if Saddam Hussein has already been transferred to the Iraqi government, this really is a moot point. It's an academic exercise by the attorneys, Saddam Hussein's attorneys. But it looks like we can assume, if we believe what the attorneys say, as well as some other reports, that perhaps Saddam Hussein is still in U.S. custody and that this would play out in the U.S. courts.
It could possibly. I think that's even unclear right now because of the situation. It's very unique. He's in U.S. custody, but the Iraqis were presiding over his trial. And again, we don't know at this hour whether he is in Iraqi or U.S. custody. That's been very fluid over the last few hours. This may be a very moot document and just maybe a procedural thing to try to delay this execution somehow. From every word we're getting, it's not really at all clear that it will delay that execution.
Thank you very much, Brian.
We'll get back to you for sure. This hour, we're also waiting for the official word and watching for any new signs on the ground about when Saddam Hussein will go to the gallows. We want to get the latest word right now from Baghdad. CNN's Anish Rahman is there. Anish, can you weigh in on what Brian Todd was just reporting about what's happening? I realize you are not following what's happening in the U.S. courts, but what's your understanding there on the ground about the likelihood that the Iraqi government would want the U.S. courts involved here?
They wouldn't, is the short answer. There's two issues here. First, if there's a ruling that comes out of that court, and as Brian said, there's really no precedent for a U.S. court to stay an execution in these extraordinary circumstances. It could perhaps come at the end of the day. It is still Friday in the United States. It is already Saturday here. And we have heard suggestions from a number of officials that this execution could happen within the coming hours on Saturday. So the two are not mutually exclusive if we get an order coming out of that court today. The other question that people might be wondering is, why is Saddam Hussein still in U.S. custody? Throughout the trial, he has remained in U.S. custody at Camp Cropper, mainly because the Iraqi authorities haven't had the logistics, the security apparatus to hold Saddam Hussein. The ultimate handover from U.S. officials to Iraqi authorities is really the immediate first step towards Saddam's execution. We've heard in the past hour or so from an appellate judge of the Iraqi High Tribunal who says when that handover happens, and he didn't confirm or deny that it had, the execution would happen, in his words, almost immediately. We can also tell you a number of high-ranking Iraqi government officials have been put on high alert, waiting for word from the office of Iraq's prime minister as to when this execution will happen. Those are government officials who expect to witness the execution. And from virtually everyone that's made any statement out of the Iraqi government, the suggestions are this execution will happen in a matter of hours. Ed?
Thanks very much, Anish. There on the ground. We'll be getting back to you throughout the Situation Room.
Thanks, Anish. And of course, coming up, the latest on Saddam Hussein's pending execution. Iraq's deputy ambassador to the United Nations is live in the Situation Room. Will there be a Sunni backlash when Saddam is put to death? In our strategy session, would Saddam's execution have any bearing on the debate about the war in Iraq that is raging here in the States? You're in the Situation Room.
Are your earlobes sagging and stretched, making it impossible to wear pierced earrings? Are your pierced holes enlarged or torn? Then you need new ear lifts by Telebrands, the invisible support solution for earlobes that will have you go from this to this instantly. Now wear any earring in comfort and with confidence. Go from drooping and sagging to lifted and taut. Damaged, torn earlobes appear flawless. Ear lifts are discs made of a medical-grade, skin-friendly adhesive that takes the earring weight off earring holes so your lobes don't sag and look perfect again. Ear lifts stay on all day long into the night.
I love long, fashionable earrings, but I couldn't wear them because of my stretched-out earlobes. Now, with ear lifts, I can wear any pair and look fabulous.
The problem with earlobes is really quite common. I would recommend the ear lifts as a good alternative to surgery.
Ear lifts even help prevent healthy earlobes from sagging and tearing. Every woman with pierced ears should use them. Get 30 ear lifts for only $20. Order now and we'll cut the price in half to $10. But call right now and we'll double our offer. You get 60 ear lifts for only $10. It gets even better. As a free gift, you'll get the Fast Dry Hair Wrap to keep hair out of the way. A $10 value, yours free. But wait, call now and you'll also get our lighted 5x magnification mirror. Touch-up makeup anytime, any place. A $20 value, yours free. Just pay separate shipping and handling. You get it all. 60 ear lifts, the Fast Dry Hair Wrap, and the lighted magnification mirror. An incredible $50 value, all for only $10. Call now.
Call 1-800-948-2522 to order ear lifts for only $10. That's 1-800-948-2522. This TV offer is not available in stores, so have your credit card ready and call 1-800-948-2522. Call now.
What does it mean when we say no one can do what Countrywide can? It means if other lenders can't get it done, we can. It means we can offer home loans to get cash fast, to pay off credit cards or remodel a kitchen. It means as your life changes, our loans can change with you, to lower your payments or to help pay for college. It means with more good loans for more good reasons. No bank, no lender, no one can do what Countrywide can. Call us 1-800-CAN-DO-88.
More now on our top story, Saddam Hussein's expected execution and what it may mean for the Iraq War debate here at home.
Joining us now for our strategy session, CNN political analyst and Democratic strategist Donna Brazil and Terry Jeffrey, editor of Human Events. Of course, Saddam Hussein, no friend of the Bush family. The first President Bush went in the first Gulf War. A lot of criticism within this president's administration that he did not finish the job. Let's take a quick listen to what President Bush said about Saddam Hussein recently.
There's no doubt his hatred is mainly directed at us. There's no doubt he can't stand us. After all, this is the guy that tried to kill my dad at one time.
So this period of time, the Bush administration being very cautious not to get ahead of this, to look like they are dancing on his grave, but clearly they're on the death watch too. This could be a very good day for the Bush administration. Terry?
Well, it could be. You know, that attempt on President Bush Sr.'s life was really emblematic of the sort of reckless and murderous person Saddam Hussein was. The final report showed that they took a SUV packed with plastic explosives that would have leveled everything within 400 meters of downtown Kuwait City. If that bomb had gone off, it not only would have killed the senior President Bush, it would have killed hundreds of innocent people. And that's what this guy's been held accountable for, mass murder. So I think just in the name of justice, it's a good thing that this man's execution goes forward.
Well, I'm worried about the reaction to the execution. Quite frankly, I'm not a fan of the death penalty, and I cannot in any way support it. But I'm worried about the reaction. Are we prepared if all hell breaks loose? We know that there's a lot of tension, perhaps a civil war. Are we prepared right now if the Sunnis decide to somehow or another, you know, go on a rampage? We know the Shias and the Kurds will rejoice over this execution, but I'm worried about the overall situation on the ground.
The situation on the ground already obviously very tense, very difficult as it is. Washington Post has a report today saying that perhaps the troop surge might likely to be only 20,000 more U.S. troops. Originally we heard it could be 30 to 40,000 more. Terry, this might not be much of a surge. Will it really have any sort of a dent, any sort of impact on the ground?
No, and I think really, as I agree with what Senator Edwards was saying earlier, a military solution isn't going to solve the political problem in Iraq. President Bush has said that. Donald Rumsfeld has said that. And one of the things that is needed is not just justice for Saddam Hussein, but justice for the Sunni people, who right now do not believe that the Shia-dominated government has given them a fair deal on the oil. They think that the de-Baathification progress went too far. Everybody used to have to join the Ba'ath Party if they're going to be part of the Iraqi government under Saddam Hussein. So there's a question of whether lower-level people ought to be let back into the political process. And also there's a question of potential amnesty for insurgents who haven't, in fact, committed war crimes. So I think those issues have to be pressed with the Shiite government. And ultimately, there has to be justice for the Sunni people if there's going to be peace in Iraq.
What is the path to reconciliation? We know that the Prime Minister tried to convene a conference to bring all the parties together. But unless the Shias, the Kurds, and the Sunnis all believe that they have a stake in the future of Iraq, we cannot hope to achieve anything by escalating our troops there. Look, I would hope at the end of the day that we not execute Saddam on a Muslim holiday. This is a holy time for the Muslims. There's a pilgrimage to Mecca, and I think that's in bad taste. Perhaps I'm Catholic. I don't know if that's in poor taste as a Muslim, but it appears to be in bad taste.
It's the Iraqi government that's doing it, not when you said that we're not doing this.
Well, we're holding him.
I don't know.
The United States of America is holding him right now. We have not turned him over. Perhaps we have turned him over.
Well,
but as long as we're holding him, we have something. We're involved in it as well.
What is the relevance of Saddam Hussein's execution anyway? I mean, the Shiites, the Sunni, they're always going to continue to fight. I mean, this is how much political mileage can the Bush administration get out of this?
Well, I don't know that the Bush administration is going to get political mileage out of this, but it does remove one nightmare scenario from the table. If, in fact, we were going to completely remove our troops from Iraq, as some politicians in this town want, which I think would be a serious mistake, and there were an all-out, unchecked civil war in Iraq, at least it forestalls the possibility that a Ba'athist insurgency could take power and put Saddam back in place. At least that's off the table once this execution takes place.
Another point that Senator John Edwards made, a former senator, earlier about John McCain's plan for surgeon troops. From a strategy perspective, John McCain was really the one out front on that all along. Do you think that's a good political strategy for a presidential campaign at a time when the war is so unpopular?
I think that politicians have to put aside political considerations when we're talking about the security of the United States, especially when we're in a war where Americans are dying in Iraq. I believe that John McCain's suggestion that we have a surge in troops is sincere. That is his best considered judgment. You have other people, other Republicans who disagree. Donald Rumsfeld didn't agree with that. Duncan Hunter, the Armed Services Chairman, outgoing from the Republican majority, he doesn't agree with that. I believe President Bush, when he comes out with his new strategy, is going to put forward what he thinks is in the best interest of this country. And I hope that Democrats will look at it honestly and conscientiously and see if they can get behind it.
When Colin Powell doesn't believe it's a good idea. But look, we have to see what the president will recommend. He may recommend enormous things. He may recommend economic incentives. He may have some reconstruction. But unless we involve some of the neighbors who are already engaged in fighting against our wishes, I don't think we will have a long-standing solution.
Thank you very much. Donna Brazile, Terry Jeffrey, fascinating times indeed. Coming up, Colorado Governor Bill Owens has the National Guard on standby as snow and sleet sock it to the Mile High City for the second time in a week. We'll get a live report from Denver. And as Americans remember their 38th president, tributes are pouring into CNN. Our online team will bring you those emailed memories, and we'll get a live report from the memorial services. Stay tuned. You're in the Situation Room.
If you want to quit smoking, today's your day. Introducing new Commit Cherry Lozenges. Quitting smoking just got a little tastier.
January 8th, a CNN exclusive. Soledad O'Brien reveals the papers of Martin Luther King. His deepest thoughts, his plans, his fears. The King Papers starts January 8th, American morning, 6 Eastern.
Beginning in January, Intolerance in America, just below the surface. Now, Paula Zahn's bringing everything out in the open. Weeknights, 8 Eastern.
Style, performance, luxury. Your eyes and ears can be fooled, but follow your heart and experience refined excellence at Dick Hanna's Acura of Portland. Discover the exquisite tingle in your chest when you hug the curves in this 2007 Acura TL. Yours today for just $399 a month. Don't just drive, live. In this 2007 TL, only $399 a month. Dick Hanna's Acura of Portland on the east side at 120th and Southeast Stark.
No matter what you're searching for, Comcast can help you find it. Just click the Searchlight button from your on-demand menu to look for homes, cars, restaurants, you name it. Searchlight. What are you looking for?
Looking for a new car? The GM showroom can tell you everything you need to know about our cars and trucks. Just press channel 889 on your remote to learn more.
Own a timeshare or campground membership? Turn it into cash.
Timeshares Only got us our full asking price before our next monthly payment was due.
Timeshares Only is the nation's largest, #1 most successful timeshare agency, representing properties from the biggest names in the industry.
No one sells more timeshares.
Call now and receive a free information kit, including 10 secrets to timeshares. You owe it to yourself to work with the best.
Don't delay. Call 800-218-1648.
How fast is your quarter mile?
Oh, 5 minutes 10?
How fast is your internet?
Oh, with Comcast, it's way faster than my old DSL.
They have this thing called Power Boost.
Fastest thing I've ever seen. Games, music, videos.
I'm so glad I came back to Comcast.
Comes with free McAfee security.
It's fast and it's safe.
They're making the internet fun again.
I only pay $33 a month for a whole year.
I've never had a service disruption either.
So you can keep on running.
Exactly.
From all of us, happy holidays and best wishes in 2007.
The family of former President Gerald Ford is publicly mourning the loss of the 38th president today. Former First Lady Betty Ford is taking part in a memorial service in California today, the first in a series of official tributes in the coming days. Let's check in with Dan Simon in Palm Desert, California. Obviously, a very emotional and difficult occasion for the family, Dan.
Well, hello, Suzanne. Friends of the family just filed into the church. A private service going on right now for close friends and, of course, for the entire Ford family. A beautiful day here in Palm Desert, California. A very intimate atmosphere. For the first time, we saw Mrs. Ford since her husband's death. We saw her at the front of the church receive Mr. Ford's casket. Later on today, there's going to be an opportunity for the public to come in and say goodbye to Mr. Ford. Tomorrow, his body is going to be flown to Washington, D.C. He will lie in state in the Rotunda on Sunday and Monday. There will also be a state funeral on Saturday. And then next week, there's going to be a service at the National Cathedral. That's going to take place on Tuesday. And then finally, on Wednesday, Mr. Ford's body will be flown to Michigan, where he will ultimately be laid to rest. Again, a private service taking place here in Palm Desert. This was a very simple service, very somber, and this is exactly the way Mr. Ford would have wanted it. Ed, back to you.
Thanks very much, Dan Simon in California. We appreciate it. As memorial services for former President Ford get underway in California, friends and admirers are sharing their memories and tributes online. Our internet reporter Jackie Schechner is standing by with your reports. Jackie, what are you getting?
And
And we're getting some incredible intimate photographs. This one coming to us from Kevin McCowan in Wailuku, Hawaii. He took this photograph in 1975 at the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. He said this was taken at Ford's departure from Hitchens Air Force Base. There was a receiving line and everybody in it gave the president a lei. McCowan says he was a Navy photojournalist until 1978 and now he does freelance photography. Another portrait sent to us from photographer David DeYoung. This was taken in 2003. It's the last formal portrait taken of the president on his 90th birthday party celebration in Grand Rapids, Michigan. David said he followed the president around for a couple of days, or the former president, and said what he was so compelled by is his ability to connect with people and build rapid friendships. And just want to bring you this one real quickly. This is Lori Tallow, our repeat eye reporter, who continues to send us images of the memorials at the Ford Museum in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Ed, Suzanne, there's amazing pictures still coming into us on iReport.
Some fascinating images. Thanks, Jackie. Still to come. In our next hour, Ambassador Faisal Estrabadi, Iraq's deputy ambassador to the United Nations, will be live right here in the Situation Room. We'll get the latest on when the former Iraqi leader will be put to death.
And up next, our Jackie Schechner has your tributes to President Ford. You're in the Situation Room.
Closed captioning provided by Head On. Head On applied directly to the forehead.
Head On apply direct.
Head On apply directly to your forehead. Head On apply. Head On. I can't stand your commercial, but your product is amazing.
Head On is available without a prescription.
Everything you're looking at easily fits into this Pods brand container. It's amazing. So call Pods right now to solve your moving and storage nightmares and stop paying expensive storage facilities. We'll deliver a Pods brand container to your home or business. Pack your container and keep it, or we'll pick it up and store it for you and re-deliver at your convenience.
I'd recommend them to anyone.
Call Pods right now, then relax.
Right now, we'll give you top quality vitamins and supplements for just 89 cents. That's right, just 89 cents. These, essential for a healthy heart. These, for joint support. These, to help your memory. Or any of these. And not just any vitamins. They're from Puritan's Pride, the #1 direct-to-you vitamin manufacturer. Just 89 cents each when you call now for these special introductory coupons. How can we do it? We're the manufacturer. We make them with the highest quality ingredients. We sell them directly to you, and right now you can try them for just 89 cents. There's no obligation. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. Plus, call now and you'll get the complete Puritan's Pride discount catalog free. You'll also get a $10 off bonus coupon good for any of the 1,400 top quality products you'll find inside.
Call now for this special bonus, the Comprehensive Vitamins and Supplements to Live By Guide. Yours free. Call or go to PuritanTV.com right now.
Go ahead, I'll be right there. Wouldn't it be great if life worked like this parking meter? I could keep putting quarters in and stay here with my family forever. Of course, life doesn't work that way. That's why I bought life insurance from Colonial Penn to help make sure my final expenses won't become my family's problem. And it costs me about $1/4 a day.
For about $1/4 a day, just $7.95 a month per unit, Colonial Penn offers guaranteed acceptance life insurance to people ages 50 to 85. These days, funeral costs alone average over $6,000. Now you can get help with no medical exam, no health questions. And the rate of $7.95 a month per unit is guaranteed never to increase.
Call 1-800-306-5300 to receive free information in the mail. That number again is 1-800-306-5300. Call now.
Special Investigations Unit. The whole story revealed. No compromise, no limits. Get ready. CNN Special Investigations Unit. Series premiere. Saturday, January 20th, only on CNN.
Carolyn joins us now from the CNN Global Headquarters in Atlanta with a closer look at the other stories making news. Carol, of course, many other stories, but tonight the Saddam Hussein execution watch.
All right. Good to see you both, Suzanne and Ed. After an overnight trip from Atlanta for a public viewing in Harlem yesterday, James Brown's body is now in South Carolina. Friends and family gathered a short time ago for a private ceremony at a church just outside of Augusta, Georgia. Another public viewing is scheduled for tomorrow in Augusta. Now, in life, Brown was no stranger to travel. A stint of 300 shows in a single year earned him the nickname the hardest working man in show business. He died of heart failure on Monday. And Chrysler has struck a deal with a Chinese automaker to make some small cars for sale worldwide. The company says it cannot make money making very small so-called B cars in the United States. Chrysler is a division of Daimler Chrysler and includes the Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep brands. The deal still has to be approved by the company's board and the Chinese government. And newly declassified documents show that John F. Kennedy was the subject of death threats when he visited Ireland back in 1963. Irish police documents made public a short time ago detail 3 separate threats against the former president. One claimed a sniper would target Kennedy's motorcade. Another warned of a bomb targeting Air Force One, while the third was less specific. The visit went off without a hitch. Kennedy, though, was assassinated in Dallas 5 months later. And that's it here from the world headquarters. Back to you, Suzanne.
Carol, great to see you. And of course, to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room, where new pictures and information are arriving all the time.
Standing by, CNN reporters across the United States and around the world to bring you today's top stories.
Happening now, Execution Watch. It is 1 a.m. Saturday in Iraq, where there's word Saddam Hussein may have hours, perhaps less, before he's put to death.
An Iraqi official says the paperwork for Hussein's execution is now complete, and a lawyer says Hussein's fate is in God's hands. We'll bring you the very latest, and we'll ask Iraq's deputy ambassador to the United Nations when he thinks Saddam Hussein may be executed.
How might any of this affect American troops in Iraq? The U.S. military is bracing for possible violence. This amid new word that U.S. military commanders have developed a plan to increase troop levels in Iraq as an option for President Bush. Wolf Blitzer is off today. I'm Suzanne Malveaux.
I'm Ed Henry, and you're in the Situation Room.
It appears Saddam Hussein may not live to see the new year or even another day. Right now, there are suggestions the former Iraqi dictator will soon die by hanging, an execution that could come at any moment. But CNN has learned that Hussein's attorneys have filed papers in a U.S. court to block the execution.
Now, that lawsuit would apply if the U.S. is still holding Hussein. One Iraqi judge says the handover of Hussein from U.S. to Iraqi custody is ongoing. But a Hussein lawyer says that's already happened. For more, let's turn to one of Saddam Hussein's many lawyers, Giovanni Di Stefano. He joins us now on the phone from Rome. Thanks again for joining us. And I wonder, what's the very latest? What have you learned in the last hour?
Nothing more than our last conversation, that my colleague is still before a district judge in the District of Columbia in Washington there, and if a temporary restraining order is granted, and incidentally we filed that order last night at 9:32 p.m., and it is a further order from an 18th of December application that I filed with the United States District Court there. So if that is granted, Saddam Hussein will go nowhere.
But do you really have much hope that that stay would be ordered, since a U.S. court doesn't really appear to necessarily have authority to do that? This is the trial took place in Iraq, and the Iraqi government should be in charge here.
Well, it's nothing to do with, we're not appealing on the basis of an unfair trial, even though he certainly had an unfair trial in Iraq. This is a United States court matter. It is a civil action which an individual in America took against Saddam Hussein and others under the Alien Tort Act there. And there the consequences of such are very much that the American jurisdiction applies. And if America have custody of Saddam Hussein, and if they had custody from the 18th of December onwards, President Bush would be in contempt of court if he were to deliver Saddam Hussein to the Iraqi authorities for the purposes of execution, because then Saddam Hussein would not be free to be able to have his constitutional rights and defend himself in the civil courts.
But Giovanni, are you getting any sense of a timetable here, how this is going to affect this plan that has been put forward, certainly to put Saddam Hussein to death within that 30-day period? There is a lot of discussion in the Iraqi government to do it before the new year. What is the timetable? How does this affect how this has all been laid out?
If the judge grants the stay today, nothing's going to happen until the 7th of January. So even if we get a 1-hour stay, the Iraqis will not execute Saddam Hussein during the religious period, which will that. But we imagine that we will, get. I mean, we have asked for a 12-week stay. That's what we have asked for. If we get a 30-day stay, we will go past the date. That under Iraqi law, he should be executed, and there will be a requirement for a new sentencing process.
But
that's as we understand it.
Iraqis are not bound by U.S. law. That doesn't quite make sense.
No, but the Americans are, because they have custody of that. They are bound by U.S. law. And if a United States District Court judge grants a temporary restraining order against Bush, Gates, and 2 of the military commanders who have physical custody of him as we speak, it would be a contempt of court for them to breach that order, and the consequences for President Bush would be impeachment.
But now earlier, Giovanni, off the air, you told me that in fact Saddam Hussein was in the hands of the Iraqi authorities. So what can you do, if anything, to stop them from going ahead with the execution? But also, you told me that you feared that he could have already been executed, that he could be in Iraqi hands, and we wouldn't know it for some time. Tell me about that fear as well.
Well, that, of course, was always possible. But, I mean, happily, we've had confirmation in the last 1 hour that he's still with American custody. And as I say, the reason he's still with American custody is because of the court action that is proceeding as we speak. America simply, no matter what we can say about America, they will abide by their own law. They may overlook international law, but they will not violate their own law, and nobody will go against the United States District Court judge. That I can tell you. No American will, and not even President Bush.
If we can speak frankly here, if Saddam Hussein was executed, would it be in your interest to disclose that before it actually happens or afterwards?
Well, I mean, it's not in my interest to disclose anything. I mean,
well,
my obligation will then fall to the family. And if Saddam Hussein is executed, my role will be to make sure that the body of Saddam Hussein and Mr. al-Bandar and el-Tikriti will go rightfully to their family. We must remember that this man is a father, he is a husband, he is a grandfather, he is a brother. I mean, he is a human being. Say what we want about him, but he's a human being, and he has to be treated, even at least in death.
But earlier you told me off the air that you had an email from the U.S. military saying he had been transferred to Iraqi authorities. A moment ago, you said you found out in the last hour that he is actually still in U.S. hands. Let's clarify and get this clear once and for all. What did you find out from the U.S. military earlier today, and what did you find out in the last hour that tells you that, in fact, Saddam Hussein is still in U.S. authority?
Well, at 4:47, we received an email.
And that was Rome
the lawyers
time.
would have told you that they also received the same, cancelling visits that had been arranged for tomorrow. In fact, advising not to travel tomorrow to Iraq. However, since the United States were on notice, I then sent an email reserving the United States with notice of the proceedings that were ongoing. And what I imagine has happened is that although America may have given Saddam Hussein to the Iraqis, there may be a condition to such that they can effectively claw him back if the United States District Court judge grants a temporary restraining order. Because, as I said, the consequences are extremely grave for anyone who violates a court order. It's a contempt of court, it's a jailable offense, and for the president, would lead to an impeachment, which I'm sure the Democrats would be more than pleased to advance. But that's not my business. And my business is in saving my client's life.
Giovanni, you said before, of course, it's up to the family to decide how Saddam Hussein's death would be disclosed to the public and what would happen next with the body. Have you spoken with family members? I know that he met with some half-brothers yesterday. What are their desires, their wishes? Do they want to make this public right away, or are they going to give this some time after the Muslim holiday? What is your sense of what the family is looking to do here?
Well, in the unlikely event, and I pray that he's not executed, I'm sure that the Iraqi government will be blowing trumpets and let everybody know that to be the case there. The family, of course, must be allowed to grieve. They must have their period of grieving. As I said, he is a father, he is a grandfather, he is a brother, he is an uncle, he is a husband, and those are things that we must respect in the event that that happens. I pray it doesn't happen, because the consequences will be very, very severe for an awful lot of people. And as I said, there will be potentially a river of blood that will flow throughout the Middle East, and I really pray that that doesn't happen.
We'll talk about that. What kind of reaction do you think there will be in the Middle East? Will there be more violence? Talk about what you think the reaction will be in the Muslim world.
Well, you have half the population that want Saddam Hussein dead and half the population that want him back as president. The problem is that half the population is 14 million people. Now, that's a hell of a lot of people to have against you or for you there. So you're going to get a reaction, and the tragic consequences are that the reaction will be against the American government and against America. Now, in this case, I thank God that America has actually has custody of Saddam Hussein, because if they hadn't custody of Saddam Hussein, there would have been summary justice 3 years ago. So in that is the real tragedy, is that human life will be in people who are innocent of anything, and that will be the American military and Americans all over the world, and that will be tragic, and it's not something that that I would condone whatsoever, nor would I advance, and I really pray to God it doesn't happen.
Giovanni, I want to read you something that we just received here from the Associated Press, a news alert from an unnamed top Iraqi official. I'm going to read it verbatim here. It says, top Iraqi official says Saddam Hussein will be executed before 6 a.m. Saturday Baghdad time. I believe that's 1 o'clock in the morning at Baghdad time now. That's in 5 hours. Have you gotten any notice of this, any notification that this is going to happen?
No, the Pentagon have also said that he will not be executed, or he may not be executed for the next 24 hours. Everything will depend upon what the United States District Court judge does. And, you know, as soon as we have notice of that, of course, I'm sure that everybody will be on, will be on alert for that there. If he grants a temporary restraining order, that is the end of the matter. America will not violate that order until further order. So that is for sure. And if we save his life today, he will live until the 7th of January at least.
So, Giovanni, after you finish this interview with us, who are you going to contact? Who are you going to call or email to find out the latest about your client?
Well, I mean, obviously, I'm going to speak to the lawyer who's in court, but he's in court. I've been trying to call him. You've also been trying to call him, but he's still in court there, and we will know as soon as we will know. If a restraining order is granted, Saddam Hussein ain't going nowhere.
Okay, but why do you believe that Saddam Hussein is still in U.S. custody? Earlier today, you told me you had an email from the U.S. military saying, in fact, he was in Iraqi hands, number one. And number two, as you just heard from Suzanne, this Associated Press report quoting a top Iraqi official saying that he's going to be executed in the next 5 hours. That would suggest he is not in U.S. hands. He's going to be executed by the Iraqi authorities. Who told you he's still in U.S. hands?
Well, you know, these are the sources from the Pentagon, and in fact, in great fairness, I mean, it's your own sources that are quoting at the bottom of the screen I have not spoken to anyone in the Pentagon. Okay. I know that we have court proceedings at the moment, and I know that the United States of America will not violate. They may violate international law.
Let me just interrupt you, because I think you may be referring to... Hang on. Now, the State Department, the U.S. State Department has been saying in recent hours that Saddam Hussein was still in U.S. custody. So you may be referring to the State Department. But we now have this alert from the Associated Press saying Saddam Hussein, quoting a top Iraqi official, saying he'll be executed in the next 5 hours. That would square with what you told me earlier. You said that you yourself had a credible source, you identified it. It sounded like an Iraqi official telling you Saddam Hussein would be executed within hours. What did that source tell you?
Well, it told me exactly what the top Iraqi, the supposed top Iraqi source, has stated. But it is subject to the ongoing court proceedings, because, as I repeat for the 10th time, if there is a temporary restraining order, the United States of America are very responsible and they will not violate their own law. That is the situation.
But based on the information you got earlier and based on the information that just across this alert from the Associated Press, it suggests that the court matter you're talking about here in Washington, D.C. in the United States is really not affecting it, that things are moving ahead in Iraq rather rapidly.
Well, when you have pending court proceedings, if the judge does not grant us the temporary restraining order, these are things that happen in America. You go to the Supreme Court, but the process of execution still continues because if the application is dismissed, the execution proceeds. So it's absolutely normal. It's no different to any American court situation. On a condemned, there's always last-minute application and last-minute appeals. That's the situation.
Giovanni Di Stefano, thank you very much. Of course, it is very clear that everything is in flux. There's a lot of confusion here about just where your client is at the time. I want to go to our own Anish Rahman in Baghdad to get a sense of whether or not you know physically where Saddam Hussein may be, about this latest Associated Press wire saying that, in fact, this execution may take place within 5 hours or so. That's 10 o'clock Eastern, our time this evening.
Yes, Suzanne, let's start there. It does not suggest, if according to these reports, the execution would take place at 6 a.m. local, that Saddam Hussein is already in Iraqi custody. The reason is that handover is one of the final steps before Saddam Hussein is executed, the handover from U.S. to Iraqi control. And as one appellate judge told us earlier today, after that handover, the execution could, and he said would be carried out almost immediately. So we could see that handover come essentially moments before this execution actually takes place. We can tell you as well, every government official that CNN has contacted has been told to be on alert, among them government officials who expect to witness this execution. They are waiting word from the office of Iraq's Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki as to when this will happen. We have heard as well from a Shia member of parliament who said he saw gallows within the green zone where a judge, a nurse, and a cleric are standing by, again waiting word from Iraq's Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki. All indications on the ground point to this execution coming very soon, possibly in the next few hours. The big question, the source of confusion, has been where is Saddam Hussein at this moment? Is he in U.S. custody? Is he in Iraqi custody? U.S. officials have, up to now, maintained he remains in their custody. But as I mentioned, that handover could come essentially moments before this execution. Suzanne?
Thank you very much, Anish.
Thanks very much.
It's posted.
The latest from Baghdad. Up ahead, as President Bush weighs whether to send more troops to Iraq, Pentagon planners come up with options for substantially increasing the U.S. force. We'll have some details.
Also, with Saddam Hussein's execution imminent, growing concern he could prove as dangerous for Iraq in death as he was in life.
Plus, as the nation remembers former President Gerald Ford, new questions are being raised about his relationship with Richard Nixon. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
The Situation Room is brought to you by Head On. Head On, applied directly to the forehead. Head On is available without prescription at your nearest pharmacy.
Head On, applied directly to...
Head On, apply directly to the forehead. Head On, apply... Head On, I hate your commercial, but I love your product.
Head On is available without a prescription. New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Back pain, Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Backache. In stores now. New from the makers of Head On. Introducing Activon. Arthritis pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Arthritis. In stores now.
You are my sister, young, old, red, black, or white. Our common bond is this breast cancer fight.
If you were my sister, I would say you should know your breast cancer could come back.
So it's perfectly normal to be afraid. But you can fight fear with information.
Learn everything you can.
Things keep changing.
There are treatments after surgery that can help reduce the risk significantly.
For information, call or go to getbcfacts.com.
Talk to your doctor about your risk of recurrence.
Find out about treatment choices.
If you're already on treatment, stay on it, just like your doctor says.
If you were my sister, I would say,
Make a promise to yourself.
to keep fighting.
If you were my sister, I would say, honey, don't be afraid. We'll get through this together.
To get your free information kit on the risk of recurrence, call 877-753-4174 or go to getbcfacts.com.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time,
Moving your 401ks to Fidelity is groovy. Our retirement specialists make it so easy, they'll even do most of the paperwork. You dig? Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
We're just getting word of a new bulletin from the Department of Homeland Security. I want to go right to our correspondent, Gene Meserve. Gene, what are you picking up?
This bulletin is being prepared now. It is expected to be distributed tonight. It will be distributed to state and local officials, Homeland Security advisors, and others, saying there is no specific or credible information suggesting an attack will occur on U.S. soil in response to the execution of Saddam Hussein. This, according to a Homeland Security official who says this is being issued out of an abundance of caution and because there have been some messages picked up on websites indicating there would be grave consequences if Hussein is executed, and saying that the resistance would retaliate. The official says the credibility of this has not been established, but there is no corroborating information, and so out of an abundance of caution, this advisory, this bulletin being sent out this evening to law enforcement.
Thank you very much, Gene. Obviously, a lot of concern about security around this time. The Bush administration insists that the Iraqi government is in control of the plans and the process of executing Saddam Hussein. Our White House correspondent Elaine Quijano is having technical difficulties out of Crawford, Texas, but she did report earlier that the White House is not necessarily weighing in on these incremental developments. Right. They do not want to wade into this controversial matter. We have heard the president from before, even before talking about this being a victory, a time for the Iraqi people to get rid of the dictator and to see democracy evolve in their country, but we don't expect to see the president or hear from him anytime soon.
That's right, and also the Department of State has been making clear that Saddam Hussein has still been in U.S. hands, despite what some of Saddam's attorneys and others have been suggesting. We lost Elaine Quijano because of that tornado warning that had been put in effect in Texas. Coming up, will Saddam Hussein's death end his reign of terror in Iraq or unleash a new series of horrors? We'll show you why some fear the worst.
Plus, we'll talk about the impact of Saddam's pending execution with Iraq's deputy ambassador to the United Nations. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
it's here. Come on, save yourself.
There's the week, there's the weekend, and then there's the weekender.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the subscription from the New York Times, I love it.
Like your whole weekend's just started. It's come a little early.
So the deal is you call the 1-800 number and then you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $3.25, which is half off, which is pretty crazy.
So you get the Friday paper and boom, you're right into the weekend.
Saturday. The word alone makes me happy. I love to sort of pull everything out of the Sunday paper.
Travel section.
The magazine.
Weekend review.
The international news.
The book review. I got these really great boots after reading the Sunday style section.
All I did was call the 1-800 number.
I'm not one of those call now people.
Call!
You should call now.
I love to have the New York Times delivered.
Who doesn't like to save money?
Call now because it's a great deal.
It's like having a table of contents for everything in the world.
I mean, how much would you give for that?
The Weekender subscription from the New York Times. Get it now for as low as $3.25 a week. Call 1-800-727-7464.
Who doesn't like to start the weekend a day early?
Larry King tonight.
Report Saddam Hussein's execution is imminent. Latest from Baghdad with one of his lawyers and more. Larry King, tonight, 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
At Landmark Ford, we're doing everything possible to sell as many cars and trucks as we can before New Year's Day. That means no interest financing on most models, in many cases up to 5 years, and amazing prices. Ranger Super Cabs for less than $14,000. Focuses $5,000 below MSRP. Even Super Crew 4x4s for under $25,000. The end of the year clearance at Landmark Ford in Tigard. We're just off I-5 at the Haines Street exit.
Now that was a dinner party. I wish there was a way we could do this faster.
You know, I got an idea. Let's go crack open your computer and take out some of the high speed. Holy.
From all of us, happy holidays and best wishes in 2007. The body of former President Gerald Ford is now laying in his home church in Palm Desert, California. A brief private service was held for the family, with a public viewing to follow. Tomorrow, the casket will be flown to Washington. As the country mourns Ford's death, there's renewed focus on his relationship with his predecessor, Richard Nixon. How deep was their friendship, and how did it factor into Ford's Watergate pardon? CNN's Jean Meserve is here with some of those answers. Jean?
Susanna, a report out today suggests the Nixon-Ford friendship was key to the pardon. But some people who knew Ford then say that is not the case.
I had no prior knowledge of the Watergate break-in.
When Watergate began to engulf the Nixon White House, the president turned to his old friend on Capitol Hill, Gerald Ford.
We've got a hell of a lot of friends up here, both Republican and Democrat. If you could get a few of the congressmen and senators to speak up and say a word, for Christ's sake.
Before long, the scandal reached Nixon himself. He resigned, Ford succeeded him, and a month later, Ford pardoned him.
A full, free, and absolute pardon unto Richard Nixon.
In a 2005 interview just made public, Ford told the Washington Post's Bob Woodward he considered himself Nixon's only real friend. I always treasured our relationship, and I had no hesitancy about granting the pardon because I felt that we had this relationship and that I didn't want to see my real friend have the stigma. Others who knew Ford say compassion may have been a factor, but a small one.
The notion that his intimate friendship with Richard Nixon is why he pardoned Nixon, I think, is a stretch.
Ford and Nixon both served in World War II, loved sports, and shared the same political philosophy. But Nixon had personally assured Ford he had nothing to do with Watergate. And when Oval Office tapes proved otherwise, their close friendship was over, says Ford biographer and former staffer James Cannon. Did Ford feel double-crossed?
Yes. Yes, he was dismayed, disheartened, and disappointed.
Ford said in earlier interviews he pardoned Nixon for the good of the country, not the man.
I had to move forward and heal the wounds of Watergate.
Although Nixon and Ford corresponded in their later years, Cannon says Ford never initiated the contact. Proper but distant is how he describes their relationship. Back to you.
Jean, fascinating story. Thank you so much. And of course, coming up, we'll take you live to Baghdad, where Iraqis are awaiting word on the imminent execution of Saddam Hussein. Find out what the mood is in the Iraqi capital.
Plus, we'll have details of contingency plans to beef up U.S. forces in Iraq by 20,000 U.S. troops. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
You got Singular?
No. Sprint.
Sprint mobile broadband downloads 5 times faster than Singular's Edge.
Well, I'm done.
Because in business, it pays to keep moving. Get the power of the nation's largest mobile broadband network. Get a free mobile broadband card. Visit sprint.com/mobile broadband.
Sprint. Power up.
I need 480 tons of plaster. I need 70 more rolls of paper.
All small businesses have one thing in common. They need things.
We need to get 6 tickets for Tokyo.
We're open to helping meet your needs. That's why there's the new American Express Business Gold Rewards Card. With no preset spending limit, you can get what you need, plus the rewards you deserve in return. By calling 1-800-NOW-OPEN or visiting us online, you can also get automatic discounts on the things you buy most.
I need to rent a car every week. I need to ship 42 glass bowls.
We'll also show you how easily you can earn 100,000 points in your first year alone. Enough for things like 4 round-trip airline tickets or other rewards. Earn as many points as you can. They never expire.
I need a better way to buy what I need.
The new American Express Business Gold Rewards Card. Call 1-800-NOW-OPEN or visit open.com/gold for yours, and we'll waive the fee for the first year.
There are over 14 million headaches happening in this country today. But too many go untreated, simply because we're away from home. So we created a fast, new way to get the pure pain relief of Tylenol. Introducing Tylenol Go Tabs. They're portable and chewable for fast headache relief, even away from home. It's one small step towards a pain-free world. Stop. Think. Tylenol Go Tabs.
What does it mean to refinance all your loans into one simple low monthly payment? It means a combo loan from Countrywide. It combines your first mortgage, your second mortgage, your auto loan, and your credit card debt into one low monthly payment. It means simplicity. It could mean extra cash in your pocket. It means saving money every month. It means with hundreds of home loan options, no one can do what Countrywide can. 1-800-CAN-DO-88.
And Justin, we're getting word of a tornado warning in Fort Worth, Texas. We go directly to Bonnie Schneider out of Atlanta with the latest details. Bonnie, what can you tell us about this?
Well, Suzanne, we have a tornado warning for Tarrant County, and that does include the city of Fort Worth. Now, that'll go for another 30 minutes. Now, we've had numerous tornadoes picked up with these strong thunderstorms that have been rolling through the region in Texas, and you heard earlier that some of them were actually in the Waco area earlier this afternoon. So we're looking at a large number of storms working their way across Dallas. They're moving from south to north at about 35 miles per hour. We don't have a tornado sighted with this one for the Tarrant County warning, but we are definitely going to see the possibility of that throughout the evening tonight. A tornado watch continues until 8 o'clock. Suzanne?
Bonnie, thank you so much for the details.
And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room, where new pictures and information are arriving all the time.
Happening now, Saddam Hussein asks a U.S. court to block his execution, now believed to be just hours away. His lawyers asking the U.S. District Court in Washington for a temporary stay, even as the world waits for word of Saddam's death.
Plus, we'll talk about the impact of Saddam's pending execution with Iraq's deputy ambassador to the United Nations. He's standing by to join us right here in the Situation Room.
And we'll have details of plans to possibly increase the number of U.S. forces in Iraq by 20,000 troops. Would that help turn around the troubled U.S. mission? I'm Suzanne Malveaux.
And I'm Ed Henry. Wolf Blitzer's off today. You're in the Situation Room.
One lawyer says Saddam Hussein's fate is in the hands of God. More now on our top story. Saddam Hussein could be put to death at any moment. CNN's Anish Rahman joins us again from Baghdad with the latest. Anish, what are you hearing there? What are your sources telling you? Where is Saddam Hussein? Where are we in this process?
Well, Suzanne, it still remains unclear as to the whereabouts of Saddam Hussein. That is important because if he's still in U.S. custody, that final step, one of the final steps before the execution where he's handed over to Iraqi authorities, hasn't happened yet. U.S. officials up until a short time ago have confirmed that Saddam still is in their custody, but keep in mind an appellate court judge has told CNN that that handover could be followed almost immediately by the execution. We know a number of high-ranking government and court officials are standing by as we speak, waiting for word from the office of Iraq's prime minister as to when this execution will take place. To give you an example, just about 20 minutes ago, CNN contacted an appellate judge who expects to be a witness at this execution. When we called him, he actually thought the call was coming from the office of the prime minister. So you get a sense of the edge that exists among the officials here. They expect this to come within the next few hours. Suzanne?
Anish, thank you so much for the details coming in. We'll keep you posted.
There's a lot of concern that even in death, Saddam Hussein could continue to cause serious problems in Iraq. CNN's Brian Todd has been following and tracking that story all day. Brian, what's the scoop?
Well, Ed, even the symbolism of Saddam's death could cause a backlash. He wanted to be executed by firing squad, not, as he termed it, by hanging as a common criminal. That potential insult to Saddam and his followers is one of many concerns over how this man may haunt Iraqis after he's gone.
Even in custody, no one cut a more menacing figure. Like his time in power, Saddam Hussein's MO at trial was intimidation, a psychology that runs deep through his country's emotional veins, and why some experts believe Iraqi authorities wanted to execute him quickly. The troublesome irony now, they say, is that Saddam in death may be more dangerous than he was alive.
For certain, there will be a spike in the level of violence. This violence could be an orgy of violence.
Sunnis will almost certainly attack Shias, experts say, especially if the Shia population engages in widespread rejoicing at the death of their longtime torturer. But regardless of the Shia reaction, observers say, minority Sunnis who enjoyed privilege and power under Saddam will be pushed further into a corner.
This is going to be seen by the Sunnis as another insult, as another qualitative leap in the attempts of the Shia of Iraq to have monopoly on government in Iraq at their expense.
But Shias aren't the only ones in danger. The Ba'ath Party, which Saddam led, has issued a statement that his execution will lead it to, quote, retaliate in all ways and all places that hurt America. And this comes as President Bush is about to announce a change in U.S. strategy in Iraq and a possible influx of American troops, the face of the enemy for Sunni insurgents, some allied with al-Qaeda.
The information operations objective of the insurgency is to make it felt at home in the United States. And to do that, you need to send soldiers home in body bags. And that's pretty much what they're going to do.
Other experts point out much of the insurgency has never relied on Saddam for direction or inspiration, but this could fit their pattern of looking for any excuse to attack fellow Iraqis or Americans. Ed, Suzanne?
Thanks very much, Brian Todd, for that story.
And let's talk more about all these new developments regarding Saddam Hussein's imminent execution. Joining us is Faisal Estrabadi. He's Iraq's Deputy Ambassador to the United Nations. Mr. Ambassador, I know you heard our interview within the hour or so earlier with one of the attorneys representing Saddam Hussein, and he was saying that there's a procedure that's going through the U.S. courts now to stay the execution. But, of course, there are other reports from the Associated Press that are indicating that perhaps the execution of Saddam is imminent. What do you know?
Well, what I can say is the situation seems to be one in tremendous flux, but you and your viewers already know that. As of, I would say, about, close to 3 hours ago, my impression in speaking to Baghdad was that the execution was not imminent. But again, that was 3 hours ago, and imminent, you know, is in the eye of the beholder. If I could take a moment, I'd like to comment on some of what Mr. DiStefano says. I appreciate a lawyer representing a client in a death penalty case and the passions that brings to it. I was a practicing lawyer myself. I didn't represent death penalty cases when I was a lawyer, but I did when I was in law school, so I understand the passion. But I think that the idea that half of Iraq's population wants to see Saddam Hussein return to power, I mean, that's just an absurdity. This man was an equal opportunity tyrant who butchered 2 million of Iraq's population. Sunnis, Shias, Kurds, Arabs, Christians, all of Iraq's 27 ethnic and sectarian groups were the subject of slaughter at the hands of Saddam Hussein. He refers to him as a husband and a father and a grandfather. He was also the father-in-law who, on his orders, had his 2 sons-in-law murdered brutally in 1996. So I think what I would say, if I may, is that the focus, it seems to me, is on the wrong place. We've spent all day now talking today about Saddam Hussein. I'd like to see far more coverage about the victims of Saddam Hussein. 2 million Iraqis killed, millions of Iraqis sent into exile, the 25 million Iraqis forced to live in what was tantamount to a maximum security prison where the caprice of a single man held sway. These are the victims of Saddam Hussein. Iraq, an entire country, is the victim of Saddam Hussein. I'd love to see more discussion of that topic rather than on focusing on this one man.
Mr. Ambassador, obviously there is no debate how much suffering occurred under Saddam Hussein, and as everyone reflects this execution, impending execution. I do want to clarify, however, something you mentioned before. You said that you didn't get the impression 3 hours ago that this execution was imminent. Who didn't give you this impression? Where are you getting this from? Who are you talking to?
Well, the most I can say is that I spoke to someone in Baghdad, to a responsible official in Baghdad. I'm not going to identify to whom I was speaking. But again, I mean, imminent is sort of in the eye of the beholder, and I'm not sure what imminent actually means. Does it mean an hour from now, or 5 hours from now, or 7 days from now? But it remains to be seen.
Can I press you on another point, which is just a couple hours ago we heard also about an emergency cabinet meeting, Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki and his cabinet ministers trying to sort all of this out. What do you know about that cabinet meeting? But secondly, what do you know about where Saddam Hussein is? There's confusion. Is he in U.S. hands or is he in Iraqi hands?
Well, and I'm glad you raised that point, because Mr. Di Stefano earlier was very, very careful in talking about physical custody, because he knows that the Iraqis have had legal custody of Saddam Hussein for 2 years now, since shortly after the transfer of authority in 2004. The cabinet meeting, it is possible. Let me back up. Once the appellate chamber of the court trying Saddam Hussein gave a final ruling, a final judgment upholding the death sentence, it became a matter for the executive authority in Iraq to set a date and time for his execution. It is possible that if, in fact, a cabinet meeting occurred, because in the Iraqi system, the Iraqi cabinet or the Council of Ministers is or embodies the executive authority, it is possible, and I don't know that there was a cabinet meeting, but if there was one, it is possible that it could be related to the setting of a date and time of the execution, because, as I said, it is the Iraqi cabinet or the Council of Ministers which is responsible at that point.
The bottom line, you do not know whether or not Saddam Hussein has been transferred to the Iraqi government's hands at this point?
Well, again, my response to you is that Saddam Hussein, the legal custody of Saddam Hussein was transferred to the Iraqi government 2 years ago.
Okay.
And that's where I'll leave the matter.
And Mr. Ambassador, last question. You have 30 seconds. Tell us what preparations the Iraqi government, since you're a part of it, has gone through to prepare for the possibility of this unleashing more violence. How prepared is the Iraqi government?
Look, on the issue of violence, we have had a process now over 2 years of a political process, and at every milestone, whether it's the elections, whether it's a referendum on the Constitution, whether it's the appointment of a new cabinet, we have had violence. We can predict that there will be violence here, but the supporters of Saddam Hussein, those few supporters of Saddam Hussein, who nevertheless can cause a lot of chaos, I understand, would have used his imprisonment as an excuse. They've used his trial as an excuse. There may well be a spike in violence. That's just something that we will be dealing with, and I know that there are contingency plans for that.
We'll have to leave it right there. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Ambassador. We want to go right back to Baghdad. Our correspondent there, Anish Rahman, has some new information. Anish, what do you have?
Well, Ed, we've heard again from that judge in the appellate chamber, Munir Haddad, who has, by the way, called what is taking place in the U.S. at the lead of Saddam's defense attorneys rubbish. He says it will not affect at all the proceedings that are underway. He has confirmed as well that the red card you spoke of earlier that was given by Saddam's regime to those about to be executed is part of the docket, ready to go. On it, the Justice Ministry has signed it and condemned Saddam Hussein to death. Everyone within the government and the court officials are on edge. They are waiting essentially for word from the Prime Minister's office as to when this execution will take place. As I mentioned earlier, when we called this judge, he thought that was the call, that it was announcing the time. So everyone is, you get the sense there's an impending feel that this execution is coming very soon. Ed?
Anish, thank you so much. And if you have further details, we'll get back to you on all of this developing story. And of course, up ahead, Iraq options and military advice. We've learned that the U.S. military has prepared a plan to increase the number of troops in Iraq. Our Pentagon correspondent Barbara Starr is standing by.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare Supplement plans, so I could understand it all. After I called, I was able to choose the plan that was right for me.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you from paying thousands of dollars out of your own pocket. These are the only Medicare Supplement Insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit with all you need to enroll, so you can join the millions of people who've already trusted us for their Medicare Supplement insurance. Plus, we'll send you this free guide to understanding Medicare.
The prices are competitive. I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call now to get the free information kit. Plus, we'll include this free Medicare guide. And the advantages don't end there. You can choose from a wide range of plans that are all competitively priced, so you can find a plan that best fits your needs and budget. There are virtually no claim forms to fill out. And best of all, they're the only Medicare supplement plans endorsed by AARP.
When they told me these plans were endorsed by AARP,
I had only one thing to say. Sign me up.
Call now, 1-800-495-9137, and let us help you choose the right plan. So call now, 1-800-495-9137, and find out about an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting for your call.
At Coors, we have a responsibility to help prevent underage drinking. As a parent, I understand that responsibility. 75% of teens say parents are their #1 influence as they decide to drink or not. That's why Coors brings you MVParents.com, a website built by Search Institute, experts on youth development. Here you'll find tools to empower your teens to make the right decisions. So visit MVParents.com and know that we at Coors are as committed as you are to preventing underage drinking.
Closed captioning provided by Activon. Apply directly where it hurts.
New from the makers of Head-On, introducing Activon. Arthritis pain? Activon. Apply directly where it hurts. Activon Arthritis. In stores now.
We're just getting word of the deaths of 3 more U.S. Marines in Iraq. Some grim statistics for the month of December. Let's go right to our Pentagon correspondent, Barbara Starr. She has the story. Barbara.
Well, grim statistics indeed. The announcement of the death of these 3 Marines in Al-Anbar province now brings the death toll for the month of December to 106. That is the same death toll for the month of October, which until now, of course, was the deadliest month of the year. This month is not over, and it is perhaps this that U.S. troops are thinking about rather than Saddam Hussein.
U.S. military commanders have developed an option to increase troop levels in Iraq by 20,000, but it requires some combat units to extend their tours on the front line, and other units might have to cut training short in order to deploy more quickly. Military officials emphasize this is just an option. President Bush has yet to make a decision about whether to increase troop levels. There may also be incentives to put young men to work and reopen Iraqi industries and businesses.
Key to success in Iraq is to have a government that's willing to deal with the elements there that are trying to prevent this young democracy from succeeding.
One military official said there is a proposed course of action. 2 Marine Corps regiments scheduled to leave Iraq in February would remain. Marines serve 7-month tours, unlike the Army, which deploys for 1 year. Army brigades scheduled to go to Iraq in the spring may go more quickly rather than extending Army units already on the ground. An 82nd Airborne Division brigade, already scheduled to go to Kuwait, would move into Iraq. These moves would result in an increase of up to 20,000 combat forces. There are about 134,000 troops in Iraq now. Senior commanders are concerned such a major disruption in the rotation schedule will only strain the force further. And fundamentally, many say, more troops may not improve security in Baghdad and Al-Anbar province, without significant progress by the Iraqi government.
Significant challenges do remain, and violence is likely to remain at unacceptably high levels in the very near term.
Military commanders emphasize all of this is just a proposed course of action. Of course, the president has yet to make his decisions public.
Barbara, thank you very much. Indeed, disappointing news. And of course, we have been reporting the Associated Press citing an Iraqi official saying that Saddam Hussein will be executed before 6 a.m. in the morning Baghdad time. That would be 10 o'clock Eastern time. This coming from an Iraqi official from the Associated Press. We're keeping a very close eye on what the latest developments are in the timing of Saddam Hussein's execution.
It's that time of year again, when you'll find exceptional values on your favorite Lexus vehicles. The Lexus December to Remember sales event.
Why aren't middle-class wages going up? Why does it take two incomes just to get by?
Lou Dobbs tonight. CNN coming up next.
It's time for Ann.
Know why Headline News gave Glenn Beck a show?
Let me paint the picture for you here.
This guy's got passion.
I am a conservative, but I am not a zombie.
He doesn't hide his personality.
I can't tell you how much I hate you with that head of hair.
And he's not afraid to take a point of view.
We don't need really any more laws. We just need to enforce the ones we already have.
He's something different at 6 and 9.
What should we do about global warming?
Meet Glenn Beck, Headline News Prime, every night at 6 and 9 Pacific.
Doesn't get any better than that.
Hello? Oh, hi, Mom. Today? House hunting? No, he'll be with us.
Must be cbseal.com. See every house in the market in one place. The interactive home search finds everything close to where you want to live. Use it to pre-qualify, check the payment, and find a realtor.
Looking for a new home? Watch the Tour of Homes brought to you daily by Coldwell Banker Barbara Sue Seal Properties on Comcast Cable Channel 15.
Are you in the market for a truck, van, or car? There's one dealership that's never too far. In the heart of McMinnville, it's called Larson Motors. Great service, unanimous amongst all the voters. Like saving money? Can you hear the ovation? Larson Motors is having their year-end liquidation. You'll save like a maniac. GMC, Pontiac, Buick, and Cadillac. Low interest rates, huge factory rebates. So if you want value selection plus red tag price, then it's Larson you should see. They'll treat you nice. So head to McMinnville, come get immersed, but hurry, please hurry. It all ends the 31st.
Now on demand. Be grateful one, Pablo. Today is especially delicious.
Jack Black is Nacho Libre.
There goes the neighborhood.
There's something going on in that house.
Find out what's inside Monster House. Hit movies without the trip to the video store. On demand with Comcast Digital Cable.
All of us, thank you, and best wishes in 2007.
It is almost 2 o'clock in the morning Baghdad time, and of course there are reports, one from the Associated Press, saying that Saddam Hussein's execution could happen as early as before 6 a.m. Saturday. We are just hours away from that execution, if in fact that is true. Now joining us, of course, in Atlanta, senior editor of Arab Affairs, Octavia Nasser. Explain to us the timing of this. Does this make any sense at all? Why would there be this window?
Actually, it makes a lot of sense for people who are involved. Saturday morning marks the beginning of a very important holiday in the Muslim calendar, Eid al-Adha, the Feast of Sacrifice. As a matter of fact, at daybreak, at sunrise, is when Muslims around the world will celebrate that very important feast. There were very harsh criticism of this decision to execute Saddam Hussein on such an important holiday. So it seems that after consultations, the Iraqi government decided to, if indeed it is going to carry out this execution, it will carry it out before 6 a.m. That means before daybreak, before the actual celebration of Eid begins.
So if it doesn't happen before 6 a.m., then what is the next logical window where they would decide to execute Saddam?
You know, Eid in the Middle East lasts 4 days. So if it begins tomorrow, you have to count 4 days after Saturday. Also, you add one more day because there is a discrepancy between the Shiites and Sunnis celebration of Eid al-Adha. Shiites will commence the celebration on Sunday instead of Saturday. So it will take a few days if indeed they want to wait until after the holiday. In the beginning, it sounded like that was not an issue for the Iraqi government. But at this point, if indeed they're thinking about the execution taking place before 6 a.m., that means they're taking that into effect. That means the next logical date would be around the 5th or the 6th of January.
Octavia Nasser, thank you so much for making sense of all this confusion this afternoon. Thanks again.
Anytime.
Quite fascinating. We're trying to cover every single angle of this story, including the story online with our internet reporter, Jackie Schechner. She's also following the impending execution of Saddam Hussein. What are you picking up, Jackie?
Well, Ed, we heard a little bit earlier from Jean Meserve that the Department of Homeland Security was issuing bulletins to state and local law enforcement officials, just warning them to keep an eye out in case of Saddam Hussein's execution. They say they made the statement out of abundance of caution that there was no specific or credible threat. That's very important. But however, they said there were websites that had suggested there might be grave consequences if Saddam Hussein was executed. And we wanted to point this out to you. This is not specifically necessarily the websites that they're talking about, but this message did go online a little bit earlier this week. Not necessarily, again, the same statement that the Department of Homeland Security is referring to, but it's a statement by Saddam's Ba'athist Party posted online, and it threatens that there's going to be retribution in case Saddam Hussein is executed. It responds with threats such things as they would respond with all means wherever it hurts America the most and its interests if U.S. decides to carry out the crime, as they describe, of executing Saddam Hussein. So the Ba'athist Party, Saddam's Ba'athist Party, using the internet to send a warning to the U.S. government that it would basically react in retribution if Saddam Hussein were executed. But again, this is not necessarily the web posting that the Department of Homeland Security is referring to. Ed, Suzanne.
Fascinating developments. Thank you, Jackie. And of course, up next, a new terror tape from Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden's top deputy.
We'll have details of his latest message to Americans. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
Around the world, brought to you by Sprint Business. Get the power to make just about any place a workplace. Sprint, power up.
Who's faster, Sprint mobile broadband or Singular's Edge? Sprint mobile broadband gives you the power to download 5 times faster than Singular's Edge. No one's faster than Sprint mobile broadband. Get a free mobile broadband card. Visit sprint.com/mobile broadband.
Sprint. Power up.
Putting breaking news into the hands of 1 million readers a day, Carl is a formidable man. But he was no match for something smaller than a drop of ink. It KO'd Carl so fast he didn't know what hit him. It was a clot. Like Carl, if you've been hospitalized with heart-related chest pain or a certain type of heart attack, what doctors call ACS, chances are you've had a clot. But now, Carl's doctor is helping increase Carl's protection against heart attack or stroke by putting Carl on Plavix. Plavix, in combination with aspirin and other heart medicines, helps provide greater protection against heart attack or stroke than aspirin and other heart medicines alone, by helping keep blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots.
If you have a stomach ulcer or other condition that causes bleeding, you shouldn't use Plavix. When taking Plavix alone or with some medicines, including aspirin, the risk of bleeding may increase. To minimize this risk, talk to your doctor before taking aspirin or other medicines with Plavix. Additional rare but serious side effects could occur.
Ask your doctor about Plavix today, because no matter how formidable you are, you're no match for a dangerous clot.
If you take Plavix with aspirin, continuing to do so will help increase your protection against a future heart attack or stroke, beyond aspirin and your other heart medicines alone. You may be feeling better, but your risk never goes away. Help stay protected. Stay with Plavix.
Introducing the cure for the winter cold, Cancun. Come golf, spa, shop, or just soak up some rays. Discover the Mayan Gold Coast. Visit Cancun.info.
What does it mean when we say no one can do what Countrywide can? It means if other lenders can't get it done, we can. It means we can offer home loans to get cash fast, to pay off credit cards or remodel a kitchen. It means as your life changes, our loans can change with you, to lower your payments or to help pay for college. It means with more good loans for more good reasons. No bank, no lender, no one can do what Countrywide can. Call us 1-800-CAN-DO-88.
The State Funeral of Gerald Ford on CNN and CNN Pipeline, Tuesday morning starting at 6 Eastern.
Carol Lynn now joins us with a closer look at the other stories that are making news. Carol, what do you have?
Thanks, Suzanne. Let's start with Somalia's prime minister, who formally took control of the country's capital today, and that sparked celebrations in some neighborhoods, violent protests in others. The prime minister was ushered into Mogadishu by Ethiopia-backed troops a day after Islamic fighters fled the city. Somalia is in the grips of a civil war and is racked by clan violence. Now, just in the past week, government troops backed by Ethiopian soldiers have overrun Islamic fighters across much of the country. And Al-Qaeda is addressing Muslims during one of the holiest periods of the Islamic year. Just hours ago, the group released an audio tape from its second-in-command, Ayman al-Zawahiri. And in the tape, he refers to the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq and condemns the government of Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. It is the 9th tape from Al-Qaeda just in the past 6 months and coincides with the Hajj, or pilgrimage to Mecca. Now, Muslim pilgrims prayed at Mount Arafat today in the first major ritual of the 5-day Hajj pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia. More than 2 million flooded into a sprawling tent city there outside the holy city of Mecca. The Prophet Muhammad is said to have delivered his final sermon at Mount Arafat in the year 632. That's it from here, Suzanne.
Carol Lynn, thank you so much for all the other stories that are making news. And of course, we have been covering the Saddam Hussein execution watch. A lot of different moving parts here. The Associated Press.
Pieces from everywhere. Anish Rahman on the ground in Baghdad bringing us parts of the story. Elaine Quijano in Texas will be back at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have one of Saddam Hussein's attorneys back. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm Ed Henry.
I'm Suzanne Malveaux. Lou Dobbs is up next. Christine Romans.
Thank you, Suzanne and Ed. Tonight, Saddam Hussein could be dead within hours. There are reports that his execution is imminent. It remains unclear if the former Iraqi president has been handed over to the Iraqi government yet by U.S. forces. And this may not come as a surprise. The federal government is wasting your money. A new report says there's no competitive bidding for a third of government purchases, and the government routinely overpays for products. We'll have those stories and a great deal more straight ahead.
This is Lou Dobbs Tonight. News, debate, and opinion for Friday, December 29th. Live in New York, sitting in for Lou Dobbs, Christine Romans.
Good evening. Saddam Hussein could be dead within hours. There are conflicting reports tonight whether the former Iraqi president has been turned over to Iraqi authorities for execution. And the Pentagon tonight is preparing options for increasing the number of U.S. troops in Iraq. This as word comes that new casualties bring U.S. troop deaths in December to 106, making this month equal with October as the deadliest month this year for our forces in Iraq. Anish Rahman reports on the mood in the Iraqi capital as the death of Saddam looms. Elaine Quijano reports on President Bush as he prepares his new strategy for Iraq. Barbara Starr on the U.S. military's preparations to implement whatever changes in troop strength the president's plan may call for. We begin tonight, though, with Anish Rahman in Baghdad. Anish.
Christine, good evening. This is a capital on edge, a country in anticipation, waiting for the impending execution of Saddam Hussein, which we expect by all indications on the ground to come within the next few hours. All the government officials and court officials that CNN has contacted say that they are on standby, essentially waiting for word from Iraq's prime minister as to when this execution will take place. We also understand from a Shia member of parliament that he has seen gallows within the highly fortified green zone where a cleric, a judge, and a doctor are also on standby, waiting again for word from Iraq's prime minister as to the exact time of this execution. Now, what has been a great deal of confusion today is the exact whereabouts of Saddam Hussein. Is he in U.S. custody or is he in Iraqi custody? That is critical because the handover from U.S. to Iraqi officials is a final step before this execution can take place. Earlier today, two of Saddam's defense lawyers said that they already had transferred Saddam to Iraqi authorities. U.S. officials, though, until a short time ago, have been adamantly saying he remains in U.S. custody, but a judge within the appellate chamber cautions that that handover can happen really at any moment up to the execution, and that when it takes place, he believes the execution will happen almost immediately. The judge in the appellate chamber confirming as well to CNN that within the docket that is waiting for Saddam Hussein at the gallows is a red card Red cards were handed out by Saddam Hussein's regime to those who were about to be executed. This one signed by Iraq's justice minister condemning Saddam Hussein to death. Also from that appellate judge, word that this hanging will not be broadcast live. We don't know yet what, if any, images will emerge for Iraqis, if not the world. But again, Christine, the mood right now is tense. The expectation on the ground is that this execution could happen any time in the coming hours.
All right, Anish Rahman in Baghdad. Thank you very much, Anish. Saddam Hussein's lawyers late this afternoon asked a U.S. judge to block Saddam's transfer to Iraqi officials who plan to carry out that execution. Gary Nurnberg reports. Gary?
Good evening, Christine. As the clock ticks down to executions, judges in the United States are used to seeing last-minute appeals from lawyers of death row inmates, often desperate, often clinging to the slimmest of legal threads, and sometimes they work. That long-shot philosophy may explain the last-minute application made here in Washington today by Saddam's lawyers. They want a federal court judge to issue a stay of execution because Saddam has not yet received official notice that he's the defendant in a civil suit here in the United States. That, they argue, violates his rights. This is apparently a suit brought by a man who claims his father was tortured and killed for opposing Saddam's invasion of Kuwait. The plaintiff wants monetary damages, and the lawyers for Saddam argue he should have the right to respond to that suit because it could affect his estate. One option for giving Saddam notice, they argue, is to run a legal notice in Iraqi newspapers for 12 consecutive weeks. The stay of execution request is predicated on the United States still having custody of Saddam, and if that is in fact the case, the court could arguably say it does have jurisdiction. But it is also important to remember that the court proceedings that led to Saddam's death sentence were in Iraqi courts under Iraqi law. The question is whether a judge in the United States could actually intercede at this point to stop an Iraqi government function. Christine?
Gary, then what are the options then for the judge here?
Well, first of all, we should point out that the Justice Department is aware of the filing but hasn't filed a formal response. As for the judge, she has some options, essentially three: ignore it, reject it, or say okay. No word yet on what choice that judge will make.
All right, Gary Nurnberg in Washington. Thank you so much, Gary. President Bush remains at his ranch in Crawford, Texas tonight. The president working on a revised strategy for dealing with the crisis in Iraq. Elaine Quijano reports. Elaine?
Well, Christine, the president is staying out of sight at his ranch here in Crawford, Texas. Now, the White House says that the president had his usual intelligence briefing today that included information on the processes surrounding Saddam Hussein's execution. Now, at the same time, aides have been very careful to try to dispel any kind of notion of coordination between Baghdad and Washington when it comes to the execution. In fact, when asked about what the U.S. today was hearing about the timing on that, Deputy White House Press Secretary Scott Stanzel said, quote, "We are observers to that process. They are a sovereign government and they will make their own decisions regarding carrying out that justice." Now, these developments, of course, are taking place one day after President Bush huddled with his war cabinet for about 3 hours yesterday. The president, after that meeting, said that he, in fact, was making progress on crafting that new Iraq policy, but made clear he is not ready to announce any changes just yet. He said, Christine, that he wants to consult further with the Iraqi government as well as members of Congress. As for what he is doing now, aides say that he is continuing to review the information that he has received, including the information he received from that briefing and update yesterday. He does have National Security Council staff with him here in Texas to update him on the developments regarding Saddam Hussein. Christine?
And Elaine, amid all of this, a tornado warning in the area of the president's ranch today. What happened?
Well, there's been severe weather all afternoon, really, including just a short time ago, some severe weather passing through. And the president and the first lady, we are told, earlier during one of the tornado warnings, had to be ushered from the house on the ranch property there to an armored vehicle, essentially, and they were taken to a shelter, but not actually placed inside that shelter. We understand it was not very long that they remained in that armored vehicle next to the shelter, but certainly an indication of the seriousness of the weather in the area. We've had about 2 or 3 tornado warnings this afternoon, but that's just another development here as the president continues his holiday vacation here in Crawford.
All right,
Christine.
Elaine Quijano. Thank you so much, Elaine, from Crawford, Texas. Insurgents have killed 3 more of our troops in Iraq. The 3 soldiers were killed by a roadside bomb northwest of Baghdad. 106 of our troops have been killed or died in Iraq so far this month. The toll makes December equal to October as the deadliest month of the year. 2,995 of our troops have been killed or died in Iraq since the war began. 22,565 of our troops have been wounded. 10,107 of them so seriously they could not return to duty within 3 days. The Pentagon tonight is preparing options to deal with the changing conditions in Iraq. President Bush is expected to unveil his new Iraq strategy next month, and the military will have to be ready to implement his plans. Barbara Starr reports. Barbara?
Well, Christine, U.S. troops on the front lines already are braced for possible violence with the announcement of the execution of Saddam Hussein, but commanders are keeping their eye on the long-term picture.
U.S. military commanders have developed an option to increase troop levels in Iraq by 20,000. But it requires some combat units to extend their tours on the front line, and other units might have to cut training short in order to deploy more quickly. Military officials emphasize this is just an option. President Bush has yet to make a decision about whether to increase troop levels. There may also be incentives to put young men to work and reopen Iraqi industries and businesses.
Key to success in Iraq is to have a government that's willing to deal with the elements there that are trying to prevent this young democracy from succeeding.
One military official said there is a proposed course of action. 2 Marine Corps regiments scheduled to leave Iraq in February would remain. Marines serve 7-month tours, unlike the Army, which deploys for 1 year. Army brigades scheduled to go to Iraq in the spring may go more quickly rather than extending Army units already on the ground. An 82nd Airborne Division brigade, already scheduled to go to Kuwait, would move into Iraq. These moves would result in an increase of up to 20,000 combat forces. There are about 134,000 troops in Iraq now. Senior commanders are concerned such a major disruption in the rotation schedule will only strain the force further. And fundamentally, many say, more troops may not improve security in Baghdad and Al-Anbar province without significant progress by the Iraqi government.
Significant challenges do remain, and violence is likely to remain at unacceptably high levels in the very near term.
Still, Christine, President Bush has yet to make any public announcement about what his decisions are about Iraq. That is not expected, of course, until after the new year. Christine.
And Barbara, you say here in the near term, the Pentagon obviously on high alert for any possible violence in reaction to the execution of Saddam Hussein.
Well, certainly. Let's be clear. U.S. troops in Iraq are always in combat, literally 24/7. So they are always on a state of high alert. But inside their bases, they are even more watchful, more careful as the clock ticks down.
All right. Barbara Starr at the Pentagon. Thank you so much, Barbara. 2 Iranian diplomats detained by U.S. forces in Iraq have been released, according to Iran's official news agency. The Iranians had been held in Iraq at the invitation of Iraq's president. U.S. military sources, though, say the 2 were involved in bringing deadly IED technology into the country, including the type of armor-piercing bombs that have killed hundreds of American troops. Somalia's prime minister returned to Mogadishu today in a victory over radical Islamist forces that had held the city for the last 6 months. A joint force of Ethiopian and Somali troops drove radical Islamist forces from the Somali capital yesterday. But those radical forces have vowed to fight on. Refugees have been fleeing from the violence, and for some it turned deadly. More than 150 people are presumed dead after their boats heading to Yemen capsized. The boats crossing the Gulf of Aden from Somalia were being chased by Yemeni patrol boats when they overturned. Coming up, we're monitoring the situation in Iraq. We'll bring you the latest on the imminent execution of Saddam Hussein from our correspondent in Baghdad. The city of Hazleton, Pennsylvania is fighting to preserve its law cracking down on illegal aliens, but they may be making some compromises. We'll have a report. The federal government is being taken for a ride, and you are footing the bill. We'll have a report on the outrageous way government wastes taxpayer dollars. And winter takes another swipe at Colorado. The second severe snowstorm in a week hits that state. We'll have the latest. Stay with us.
Lou Dobbs tonight. Brought to you by Fidelity Investments. Smart move.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time,
moving your 401ks to Fidelity is groovy.
and
Our retirement specialists make it so easy, they'll even do most of the paperwork. You dig? Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
Between my two phone bills, it's probably about $60 a month.
About $150.
Probably $100 a month.
With Vonage, you get unlimited calls to anywhere in the U.S. and Canada, and all the cool features you could ever want are included. And it's just $24.99 a month.
Call 1-800-970-8082 and get 1 month free. Act now and get a prepaid card worth $25. Spend it like cash.
There's the week, there's the weekend, and then there's the weekender.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the subscription from the New York Times, I love it.
Like your whole weekend's just started. It's come a little early.
So the deal is you call the 1-800 number, and then you get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $3.25, which is half off, which is pretty crazy.
So you get the Friday paper, and boom, you're right into the weekend.
Saturday. The word alone makes me happy. I love to sort of pull everything out of the Sunday paper.
Travel section.
The magazine.
Weekend review.
The international news.
The book review. I got these really great boots after reading the Sunday style section.
All I did was call the 1-800 number.
I'm not one of those call now people.
Call!
You should call now.
I love to have the New York Times delivered.
Who doesn't like to save money?
Call now because it's a great deal.
That's like having a table of contents for everything in the world.
I mean, how much would you give for that?
The Weekender subscription from the New York Times. Get it now for as low as $3.25 a week. Call 1-800-727-7464.
Who doesn't like to start the weekend a day early?
Larry King tonight. Reports Saddam Hussein's execution is imminent. The latest on the story the whole world's watching. From Baghdad to Washington, with one of Saddam's lawyers and more. Larry King. Tonight, 9 Eastern, only on CNN.
The investigation into the shooting of 2 Long Beach, California police officers by an illegal alien came to an end this week. The criminal illegal alien was shot and killed in a separate incident with police. Border security advocates are now asking how that man, who had been previously deported, was able to return to the United States to commit this crime. Casey Wine reports.
The man responsible for the chaos that followed the shooting of officers Abe Yap and Roy Wade was no stranger to Long Beach police. A Mexican national, Oscar Gabriel Gallegos, had been deported from the United States 3 times. Since his most recent deportation in 1996, Gallegos had at least 4 run-ins with Long Beach police.
He had an assault with a deadly weapon with great bodily injury. He had terrorist threats that came up on his record and weapon charges prior that he was arrested for. I think this guy was practiced. I think he was very versed in using a weapon. I think he was a danger to society as a whole.
So what was the criminal illegal alien doing on U.S. streets? Long Beach police could not confirm whether they checked Gallegos' immigration status during his arrests. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says local police departments do have the ability to make those inquiries. Long Beach resident and Minuteman Project board member Marvin Stewart plans to voice his concerns to the Long Beach City Council next week.
They have a responsibility to enforce the laws of the land. They swore to do it, and they owe the people, particularly of Long Beach, a formal apology.
Border security advocates say the message of this crime is that it could have been prevented by simply enforcing existing immigration laws. Meantime, the 2 wounded officers remain in critical but stable condition in a Long Beach hospital. ICE says it has a good working relationship with the Long Beach Police Department. Still, the Gallegos case clearly highlights the need for better cooperation between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities. Christine.
Well, exactly, Casey. I mean, to what extent is there any cooperation between ICE and local law enforcement?
Well, in Southern California, for example, most of the larger counties in this area, the sheriff's departments, Los Angeles and Orange County to name 2, do have agreements to help ICE identify illegal aliens in their jails. Cities, though, for the most part, other than Costa Mesa in Orange County, basically don't cooperate, Christine.
All right, Casey Ryan. Thank you so much, Casey.
Okay.
Hazleton, Pennsylvania is seen as the test case for cities trying to crack down on illegal immigration within their city limits. And Hazleton faces serious challenges. Among other things, it's trying to prevent landlords from renting property to illegal aliens. Last night, the City Council passed an amendment to its Illegal Immigration Relief Act. It allows some landlords to rent property to illegal aliens without being penalized.
The Illegal Immigration Relief Act is now law in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, but a federal judge won't allow it to be enforced. and the statute has been amended several times. The latest change allows current landlords to continue to rent to illegal aliens under some conditions. Mayor Lou Barletta says he is fine-tuning the law in the face of daunting legal challenges by the ACLU, the Puerto Rican Legal Defense and Education Fund, and anonymous residents. Quote, "Our ordinance will be even stronger when we get in court. We're going to defend this and we're going to make it as strong as we can." But his opponents see a faulty law.
It really was an effort to control immigration, to do something that local governments should not be doing. The reality is they're continuing to try to do it. They think that by fiddling with the language, they will succeed, but we don't believe they will do that. This is an issue for the federal government.
The ACLU says even watered down, quote, "the legal issues, the most underlying legal and constitutional issues remain."
Hazleton's crackdown has been fraught with setbacks. A federal judge says the town cannot enforce its own immigration laws and has allowed some of the plaintiffs in the ACLU lawsuit to remain anonymous. That brings us to tonight's poll. Do you believe local communities should be able to enact their own immigration legislation? Yes or no? Cast your vote at LouDobbs.com. We'll bring you the results later on in the broadcast. In the absence of federal immigration reform, many states have been proposing their own immigration laws. Republican state lawmakers in Virginia are already introducing bills for next year's session. They want to make it a crime to transport illegal aliens and to be in the state without proof of legal U.S. residence. They also want to fine businesses who knowingly hire illegal aliens. Across the country this year, more than 30 states introduced some 570 bills relating to immigration. 84 of those bills were signed into law. That's more than double the number from last year. Still ahead tonight, the best government money can buy. Why you're paying too much to fund government projects. We'll have that story. And flights canceled, highways and businesses closed, how Colorado is coping with its second major storm of the season. We'll have a live report from Denver. And tributes to President Ford are underway in California. Details from Palm Desert when we return.
CNN Tonight at 8. What if you suddenly lost your hearing? Were stricken with unbearable pain? Forget who and where you are. Fall asleep for no reason at all. Join me as I investigate mysteries of the mind. CNN Tonight, 8 Eastern.
If you want to quit smoking, today's your day. Introducing new Commit Cherry Lozenges. Quitting smoking just got a little tastier.
So intelligent, it knows precisely when to turn rear-wheel drive performance into all-wheel drive control. So intuitive, it's beyond machine. The all-new 306 horsepower G from Infiniti. Come see the all-new G now at the Infiniti Limited Engagement Winter Event.
What does it mean to refinance all your loans into one simple low monthly payment? It means a combo loan from Countrywide. It combines your first mortgage, your second mortgage, your auto loan, and your credit card debt into one low monthly payment. It means simplicity. It could mean extra cash in your pocket. It means saving money every month. It means with hundreds of home loan options, no one can do what Countrywide can. 1-800-CAN-DO-88.
Hope you join me at the most exciting place on earth, Times Square on New Year's Eve. Join me live with celebrations from around the world. CNN, New Year's Eve, 11 p.m.
CNN weekdays, noon to 3 p.m., the peak hours of breaking news.
We're watching several stories. They have specific and credible threats.
You see it when we see it.
Right now there's an emergency meeting.
These are pictures we're just getting into CNN.
Every afternoon, it all comes together in the Situation Room. CNN weekdays, noon to 3 p.m. Pacific.
Brought to you locally by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Every year, Sleep Country sells thousands of new mattresses from Simmons, Sealy, Spring Air, and Pacific. And at the end of the year, Sleep Country clears out hundreds of last year's models during the huge year-end clearance sale. Save on brand new mattresses from last year, plus floor samples, demonstrators, freight damaged, and customer returns. Last year's models mean this year's savings. Sleep Country's huge year-end clearance sale going on now. Guaranteed comfort, best selection, lowest price.
Why buy a mattress anywhere else?
The U.S. government has been on a spending binge. Expenditures increased 63% in fiscal year 2005, in part due to Hurricane Katrina and the war in Iraq. But the government may not be getting its money's worth. Lisa Sylvester reports.
The United States is running a deep budget deficit, but instead of bargain shopping, the federal government has been paying too much for goods and services, according to a new report.
There's no question that there's billions of dollars of waste with regard to contracting each year, and that is a shared responsibility. It's a shared responsibility of the government and the contractors.
An acquisition advisory panel of government and private officials finds at least 1/3 of the government's $400 billion a year in purchases is not competitively bid. And of those that are, nearly 20% received only one proposal.
It looked to us like the federal process, which actually is supposed to, in many respects, emulate commercial practices, was not measuring up with respect to how much competition is actually being achieved.
Without competition, companies can take advantage. The Defense Department's Inspector General found Hamilton Sundstrand, a subsidiary of United Technologies, has been overcharging the Pentagon for spare airplane parts. An $8.50 insulation sleeve used to protect wiring on the T-38 aircraft was sold to the Pentagon for $85. Generator housings like this cost about $300. The Pentagon negotiated a price with the contractor for $5,000.
Why is the government, who is the largest customer and consumer in the world, buying and paying prices that are much higher than what are being offered in the normal commercial marketplace?
Hamilton Sundstrand denies any wrongdoing, saying, quote, "We are comfortable and confident that the contracting process met all the requirements of the regulations." The Department of Defense Inspector General's office report makes no finding to the contrary, end quote. But the Project on Government Oversight says the problem extends well beyond one company, highlighting concerns with the lack of transparency, conflicts of interest, and incentives and bonuses paid to contractors, even those who do not complete the job.
The problem with government contracting applies not just to goods, but also to services like information technology and consulting. Services now make up more than half of the government's overall purchases. Christine?
All right, Lisa Sylvester. Thank you very much, Lisa. So now it's time for some of your thoughts. David in California, I'm still hoping for a pardon for our brave Border Patrol agents, but if it isn't granted, maybe they should both seek sanctuary in a Chicago church. Harold in Florida, the Bush administration proposed listing polar bears as a threatened species. They may want to consider doing the same thing for the middle-class workers and Border Patrol agents. Richard in Minnesota, President Bush took an oath as president to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. He forgot one important fact. The Constitution of the United States begins at our borders. Email us at loudobbs.com. We'll have more of your thoughts later on in the broadcast. Each of you whose email we read here will receive a copy of Lou's best-selling new book, War on the Middle Class. One German tourist had learned the hard way to double-check his spelling after a typo sent him more than 8,000 miles out of his way. The 21-year-old tourist planned to visit his girlfriend in sunny Sydney, Australia for a holiday, but instead he landed in chilly Sydney, Montana. He spent 3 days in a Montana airport in a t-shirt and shorts before being able to buy a new ticket to the right continent. Globalization at work. Still to come, the very latest on the fate of Saddam Hussein. We'll have a live report from Baghdad. And 3 of the nation's best political analysts join us to discuss the impact on the United States. And in Heroes, our tribute to the men and women in uniform. Tonight, a Naval Hospital corpsman is awarded the Bronze Star for bravery in Iraq. He saved the lives of soldiers and civilians, including a 4-year-old boy. And Colorado braces for more snow as the governor declares a second state of emergency this season. We'll go live to Denver for details.
It's the time of the season when love runs high in this time.
Moving your 401ks to Fidelity is groovy. Our retirement specialists make it so easy, they'll even do most of the paperwork. You dig? Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
The all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. Flexible, agile, and for whatever shape life takes.
Stop paying too much for phone service. Switch to Vonage and you'll save up to 50% on your phone bill. You'll get unlimited local and long distance, voicemail, caller ID, call waiting, all for just $24.99 a month. Plus 1 month free. Vonage, leading the internet phone revolution.
January 8th, a CNN exclusive. Soledad O'Brien reveals the papers of Martin Luther King. His deepest thoughts, his plans, his fears. The King Papers starts January 8th, American morning, 6 Eastern.
What does it mean when we say no one can do what Countrywide can? It means if other lenders can't get it done, we can. It means we can offer home loans to get cash fast, to pay off credit cards or remodel a kitchen. It means as your life changes, our loans can change with you, to lower your payments or to help pay for college. It means with more good loans for more good reasons. No bank, no lender, no one can do what Countrywide can. Call us 1-800-CAN-DO-88.
For the second time in a week, the governor of Colorado has declared a statewide disaster as the region is walloped by a new wave of severe weather. Winter storm advisories have been issued all the way from the Rockies to the High Plains. Reynolds Wolf has the latest from Denver. Reynolds?
Yes, we still have winter storm warnings that are in effect for the Denver metropolitan area through 6 o'clock tomorrow, and we have a winter storm watch that will be in effect through Sunday. Take a look at this video that we have of some heavy snow that has been falling around the Denver area. Right now it's pretty quiet, but we did have some heavy snowfall. The official total in Denver was right around 8 inches of snow, but that's kind of deceptive because there were many places around the Denver metropolitan area that far exceeded that number. In fact, Evergreen had 28 inches of snow, Blackhawk about 27.1, Conifer about 23, even up in Boulder, they had well over a foot of snowfall. Now, let's talk for a moment about the roadways. Here is a look at I-70, both I-70 and I-25, as you take a look at this live shot that we have showing you some of the roads. The roads have actually been in pretty decent shape. We've seen many snow plows out there, we've seen many salt trucks. In fact, right behind me on I-70, we've had some cars zipping up and down the freeways without any problems. Now, we have had, of course, some closures along both of those roads during the day. In fact, CDOT is telling people that if you don't have to go out on the road, by all means, don't. Even though the roads are in decent shape, there are still going to be some patchy spots out there. The last thing they want you to do is get on that patchy ice and lose control and then cause some accidents or hurt yourself. But now let's talk for a moment about the airports. In fact, take a look at this video. We've got a great video of a plane that's coming in. It's actually looking very good out at DIA at this time. In fact, the airport, of course, is open. 5-minute waits are at security checkpoints, so that's pretty good. I mean, a 5-minute wait at a security checkpoint in any airport in any weather conditions is always a favorable thing. They are saying that if you have any questions regarding flight status, simply call the 800 numbers or simply go online for the prospective airline of your choice. And if you have any travel plans taking you back into the Rockies, maybe doing some skiing, hold on for a second. Take a look at the snow for a second. Reach down here. Look at this. It's absolutely perfect powder. Perfect powder. And with the airports back in the mountains, namely in places like Breckenridge or back over to Telluride, Aspen, or even into Steamboat, they've had zero problems at their airports. They've had no issues in the Rockies. So if you have any travel plans going out there, fear not, you're going to be in great shape. Now, we are expecting an additional 8 to 16 inches of snowfall to move through the Denver area between now and between Sunday. So far, they've done a great job of handling things, but with the additional amounts, let's hope that they're able to handle that. Back to you.
All right, Reynolds Wolf, thank you so much, Reynolds. In other news tonight, Chrysler Motors has struck a deal with a Chinese automaker that will send more American jobs overseas. The unit of Chrysler Daimler wants the Chinese firm Chery to build a line of small cars to be sold worldwide. The bottom line, the struggling Detroit automaker says it can't make money building small cars in the United States. Striking Goodyear tire workers have approved a new contract ending a 12-week walkout. Union officials say the contract allows Goodyear to close a Texas plant but protects health care for active and retired workers. The settlement affects about 14,000 Goodyear workers in 10 states. They represent about 17% of Goodyear's workforce, which is now spread across 29 nations worldwide. British scientists say they're on the verge of producing a flu vaccine that would protect against all the most serious forms. Current vaccines have to be reformulated and administered every year. Researchers say this new vaccine might provide long-lasting immunity against influenza A. That's a virus behind both bird flu and the worst forms of winter flu. Saddam Hussein could be dead within hours. There are new reports that Saddam will be executed before 10 p.m. Eastern Time tonight. Anish Rahman is in Baghdad, and he has the latest. Anish?
Christine, good evening. CNN has been told that the execution of Saddam Hussein will take place by dawn today. It's now Saturday in Iraq. Essentially, that means by around 6 a.m. local, 10 p.m. Eastern. That's coming from an appellate judge in the Iraqi High Tribunal who expects to be a witness at the execution. For the past few hours, government and court officials alike have essentially been on standby, waiting for word from the office of Iraq's prime minister as to when exactly the execution will happen. A Shia member of parliament has told CNN he's seen the gallows within the highly fortified green zone where Saddam could perhaps be hung there. A cleric, a judge, as well as a doctor have been on standby, also waiting word from Iraq's prime minister. Now, there has been great confusion today centering on the whereabouts of Saddam Hussein himself. Is he in U.S. custody? Is he in Iraqi custody? It was sparked by comments from Saddam's defense lawyers early this morning that he had transferred over to Iraqi authority. That's critical because that's a final step before this execution can take place. U.S. officials have maintained today, though, that he remains in U.S. custody. That said, we've been told by an appellate judge that the handover could take place and that he expects when it does, the execution to come almost immediately thereafter. But again, CNN has heard that the execution of Saddam Hussein, the once leader of Iraq, will take place by dawn Saturday, Iraqi time. Christine?
And Anish, you reported to us earlier that a red card is being prepared. I guess for Saddam's victims, at least, there's a poetic significance in that.
There is. This is laced with emotions on the ground. Before those under Saddam's regime were executed, they were handed a red card signifying that they were condemned to death. We understand that waiting for Saddam at the gallows is a red card that has been signed by Iraq's justice minister condemning Saddam Hussein to death. It's a small example of the high emotions that surround this moment, a historic moment for Iraq. Politicians and people alike viscerally were eager to see swift justice, especially Iraqi politicians. The prime minister, after the sentencing on November 5th, said he expected Saddam Hussein to be killed by the end of the year. That was before the appellate process had even begun. So you get a sense of the emotions of the historical contest that exists here tonight, this morning, I should say, in Iraq. Christine?
Okay, Anish Rahman in Baghdad. Thank you so much, Anish. Still ahead, thousands line up in California to pay their last respects to former President Gerald Ford. We'll have a live report from Palm Desert and perspective from 3 of the sharpest political analysts in the country. Also ahead, we pay our respects to a special Navy man in our tribute to the men and women in uniform. Hear how saving lives in Iraq is anything but routine. Stay with us.
Hi, Kathy Mitchell here in the kitchen with the incredible new flat fold colander. It opens to strain and folds flat for easy storage. It's the colander that's large enough to strain a big pot of pasta, but folds down small enough that you can store it anywhere. And it even saves space in the dishwasher. Trying to strain with a pot and lid can be an accident waiting to happen. But watch! The flat fold colander drains quickly, and the pour spout allows me to move the food without losing a single piece. Just look at how much space ordinary colanders take up. With flat fold colanders, you'll save a lot of space. Other colanders sit low in the sink, so the water actually backs up inside. But the flat fold colander stands tall, so whether you're washing, rinsing, straining, or draining, the water stays away from the food. The flat fold colander is large and strong enough to hold 10 pounds of potatoes. The easy grip handles make it easy to lift, and it won't tip over. Use it for straining pastas or steamed vegetables, or easily clean a giant head of romaine lettuce. And remember, the flat fold colander stores thin enough, you can slide it away into any small space. I like to take it to the garden when I gather fresh vegetables, and then right into the sink to rinse them off. And you know, you can even prep and toss a family-sized salad in the flat fold colander, and the best part of that, no more soggy salads. And when you're done, just snap it closed and tuck it away, out of the way. Call now to get the flat fold colander for just $14.99. As a bonus, you'll also get the 6-piece flat fold storage set, a $15 value, yours free. They flatten down to 1 inch so they save even more space in your cabinets. Then pop open easily to keep foods in the refrigerator or freezer. And they're dishwasher safe. But wait, order right now and we'll even include a second flat fold colander. Just pay separate shipping and handling. That means you get 2 flat fold colanders and the 6-piece flat fold storage set, a combined $45 value, all for just $14.99.
Call 1-800-304-8817 to get your flat fold colander for only $14.99. That's 1-800-304-8817. This TV offer is not in stores, so call now, 1-800-304-8817.
The first of many funeral events for former President Gerald Ford is underway in California. 6 days of national mourning have been declared to honor Ford, who died Tuesday at the age of 93. Ford's casket was moved today to the California church where the Ford family worshipped for nearly 30 years. Dan Simon is standing by in Palm Desert. Dan?
Well, Christine, this was the first time we had seen Mrs. Ford since her husband passed away. She greeted the casket as it came up to the church earlier today. There was a private service for close friends and family. Among those in attendance included former Congressman Jack Kemp, as well as former Secretary of State George Shultz. That private service just wrapped up a few minutes ago. Mr. Ford's body is now lying in repose inside the church. In about 20 minutes, they're going to open up the church doors and allow members of the public to come in and say goodbye to Mr. Ford. That church is going to stay open all night. They want to allow as many people as possible to be able to pay their respects to Mr. Ford. Tomorrow, his body is going to be flown to Washington, D.C. Mr. Ford's body will lie in state in the rotunda. There's going to be a service on Tuesday at the National Cathedral, and then on Wednesday, his body is going to be flown to Michigan, where he will ultimately be laid to rest at his presidential museum in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Christine?
Dan, he wanted an understated event. Is that what he's accomplished here, what his family has accomplished?
Well, Mr. Ford was actively involved in terms of the intricate details of his funeral, and one of the things he insisted upon is that things were sort of low-key in Washington, if you will, if you can call it that. For example, when the presidents typically have funerals, the body is usually placed on a horse caisson. In Mr. Ford's case, he didn't want that. He wanted his body to be in a hearse and have a simple motorcade. Also, usually there's a flyover in Washington, D.C., and they have the missing man formation. He didn't want that either. They will have some type of flyover in Michigan, but not in Washington, D.C. And Christine, one other thing, one of Mr. Ford's favorite songs was the University of Michigan fight song. Of course, he attended the University of Michigan, played football there, and we are told that he wanted the Michigan fight song to be played in Washington, so we understand a somber version of that is going to be played by a military band. Back to you.
Right. Dan Simon, thank you so much, Dan. Appreciate it. Joining me now, former White House political director for President Reagan and Republican strategist Ed Rollins, syndicated columnist Miguel Perez, and Michael Goodwin of the New York Daily News. Welcome to all of you. Michael, I want to start with you first because we haven't had a chance to get your thoughts, I guess, on the legacy of Gerald Ford. We have 6 days to reflect on it, and it's been a very rich remembrance so far.
Right. Yeah, I think most of it has gotten it right, which essentially comes down to 2 things. The first, of course, being the pardon, which I think was the most controversial thing. And the second, of course, just this notion that he was a decent man, a good caretaker for a very turbulent time in history. I think for the pardon especially, it is fascinating because as a young man, I thought it was outrageous. And over time, I've come to believe it was the right thing. I think that's what a lot of people, as we grow older and wiser, hopefully, we do understand that it would have been worse for the country. Didn't matter. It wasn't for Richard Nixon, really. It was for us that he had to be pardoned.
You know, Miguel, it's an interesting time to be talking about presidential legacies because we are in the midst of some really dramatic events happening in this nation's history. And with this president, give me a sense about what's happening right now with President Bush. He's at the ranch. He's talking about a new plan for Iraq. Will Iraq be his legacy? Can he do something with this Iraq plan to change the course of events there?
I think that the plan will determine his legacy. I think that he still has a chance to come up with something positive here, but this is his last chance. He better do something really drastic, dramatical, in terms of really changing the course of things in Iraq. If he doesn't do that, his legacy will go down the drain.
Ed, if you were in his ear, what would you be telling him? What has he got to tell us in the next few weeks?
Well, I think, first of all, I'd tell him to get out of Crawford and get back to Washington, D.C. I think it's very important for the president to look like he's on top of this, and he ought to be in the Pentagon and not in some trailer, which is where he is in
tornado warning
in Texas. And I don't mean that he shouldn't have a holiday, but this is a very serious time. I think he has to basically take this shot with the additional troops. It's the troops that are there being redeployed. I think he's got 6 months to convince the country and the Democrats that they can make a difference and at least stabilize the Baghdad situation. If he can do that, then I think they'll give him a little bit more time.
He's also got this impending execution of Saddam Hussein here right now, so that's going to add to the security situation in the near term, I would suspect. How does the Saddam Hussein issue, the execution, the imminent hanging of Saddam Hussein factor in to at least the near term for the Iraq strategy,
well,
if at all?
I think certainly it could cause some outburst in Iraq. I think politically for the president here at home, it's not going to help. It's not going to give everyone a sense that this was a good idea, or it's not going to make all the sins of Iraq disappear. I think that it's almost anticlimactic now.
I wonder if it just brings up how we got there, how we got to this point. Does it start the clock again at the beginning of the war and remind us the path that we've gone here?
It brings it back. Of course, it brings it back. We go back to the beginning. Why did we go there? We have now a report with former President Bush criticizing the reasons why we went in the first place. So it all comes together. Now Iraq and Saddam Hussein and everybody talking about how he's trying to decide how he gets killed. This is a man who never gave a fair trial to his victims,
right.
Never let them choose how they were going to be massacred. So why are we so worried about how this guy lives or how long he lives? It's about time that we just turn the switch.
The only point that I make is I think even the whole execution, which is sort of, I don't want to say it's bungled because obviously it hasn't occurred yet, but the trial, the execution, it makes us once again look like we're not carrying it out the way we should or executing it the way we should. This man clearly has committed atrocities.
Right.
He deserves to be hung, shot, whatever. It should happen. It should not be being dragged out for 2 or 3 days with suspense and all the rest of it. It ought to just happen.
The mysteries of the movements of where he is and who's got him. I thought it was fascinating what Anish Raman was reporting, that a red card is being prepared for him in the death chamber, essentially, because he would prepare a red card for his victims first. Imagine the fear. Imagine getting the red card from Saddam Hussein, and now he's getting one. That, I think, brings back to the fore what it is he's accused of, gassing thousands of Kurds, killing Iraqi civilians.
Well, and one of the things that you see in Iraq that we don't quite understand in this country is the Shiite and the Sunni battles. And one of the interesting things I heard recently is why so many Sunnis who die are tortured by having their holes drilled into their head. It's because Saddam did that to a leading Shiite cleric. And so this is the revenge of drilling holes in people's heads. It's a bizarre culture that we've waded into, a bloody, bloody place. And the sooner we can get rid of him, probably it might help in the long run. But I just think in the short term, it doesn't really matter.
I want to bring in something from an editorial in the Washington Post that Senator Joe Lieberman published. He criticized those who support a troop rollback. Rather than engaging in hand-wringing, carping, or calls for withdrawal, we must summon the vision, will, and courage to take the difficult and decisive steps needed for success and, yes, victory in Iraq. Miguel?
I read Mr. Lieberman's piece. I thought it was very, very good. I wish the president could speak that way, the way Mr. Lieberman wrote that column. I think everybody should read it, and maybe the American people would be convinced to give this another shot, at least one last shot at victory.
I hope Joe Lieberman is right, and I think the problem is that not enough Americans at this point believe in victory, believe that anything we can do will matter. So that's what the president has got to figure out now. If we do X, Y, and Z, if we add more troops, if we do incentives, if we do all kinds of things, will it matter in the end? If it doesn't, there's no point in doing it.
I think the critical thing about his voice, which has been a very loud voice on the war from the beginning, is that I hope he can bring some other Democrats, even though he's now an independent. I hope this is not just a singular Republican presidential effort, that there is a bipartisan effort. Let's try and get this thing done right in the next 6 months. It'd be the best thing that could happen to the Democrats if it does achieve something.
Let's bring in another voice. John Edwards throwing his hat into the ring, visiting Iowa as part of a six-state announcement tour. This is what he had to say during a town hall meeting.
The truth of the matter is we didn't used to be the country of Guantanamo and Abu Ghraib. You all know this. We were the light. We were the model for the entire world. We were the place. Everybody wanted to be like us, right? Well, we need to be in that place again. And for that to happen, we're going to have to meet our responsibility to the rest of the world.
Have we become, Miguel, the nation of Guantanamo and Abu Ghraib? We're no longer the moral light in the world?
I think it's just rhetoric on his part. Mr. Edwards has never impressed me very much with the two Americas, and it's all rhetoric on his part. I love the lady whose house he used to announce in New Orleans, and where she came out and said, you know, I hope he's not just using my house for publicity.
We're still the country of brave and courageous young people who are there fighting for freedom, and it's not our troops that want to come home. It may not be the will of our country, but right now it's our troops, it's always been our troops that basically paid the ultimate price.
Yeah, I don't think John Edwards has any real answers. I mean, what he said there in the clip is just sort of facts. Yes, we have a lot of problems right now, but I don't think John Edwards has answers.
A lot of problems, but still the best game in town is how a lot of people like to talk about. I want to quickly get to immigration reform for next year, Miguel, in your piece that you wrote. Immigration reform, are we going to see bipartisan immigration reform that is going to have some real answers?
I sure hope so. I think the time has come. I think that the midterm elections really swung things around. A lot of the Republicans who were anti-immigrant lost.
Immigrant bashers, you call them.
Immigrant bashers, they lost, and some of them lost their powerful positions in Congress. I think now is the time for reconciliation, for a bipartisan bill. And I think the bill that they're working on, the one that eliminates those three tiers, three categories of illegal immigrants, where it was basically going to force all these immigrants to create false documents to prove that they've been here longer than 5 years.
Some people would say, so you want to prevent document fraud, so let's put everybody on the pathway to citizenship. That's a little, I mean, that kind of is indicative of how crazy the whole system is.
But if you don't put them on the path to citizenship, what are you doing? You're leaving a whole population of illegal immigrants in the country. Do you want to get rid of them, deport them all, or give them all a legalization plan?
Do we think we can get bipartisan agreement on anything on immigration next year?
I think there will be some agreement on it. I still believe personally that the most important thing is to stop the continuing illegal immigration. Then we can figure out what to do with those who are already here. But until we stop more people from coming, we're only postponing the problem to another generation, as we did 20 years ago.
Is the public tiring of it too, I wonder?
I don't know if the public's tiring of it or not. The public certainly are not tiring of the whole homeland security part of it. And I think the key thing that I think I'm concerned about is just what Michael's point is. I don't think anybody knows what to do with the 11 million who are here, and I think that's the difficulty. But we do need to stop future illegals coming in, and we need to basically make sure that our borders are secure, and I think that's what I'm afraid the bill is not ready to address that.
Okay, Ed Rollins, Michael Goodwin, Miguel Perez, thank you, gentlemen, for joining. Happy New Year to all of you. Good weekend. A reminder now to vote in tonight's poll. Do you believe local communities should be able to enact their own immigration legislation? Yes or no? Cast your vote at LouDobbs.com. We'll bring you the results in just a few minutes. Up next, our weekly tribute to America's courageous men and women in uniform. Tonight, the story of a hospital corpsman who served in Iraq. He's seen the worst and never hesitated to put his own life on the line. Stay with us.
Beginning in January, Intolerance in America, just below the surface. Now, Paul Azan's bringing everything out in the open. Weeknights 8 Eastern.
At Town & Country Chevrolet, it's the holiday year-end sale. Now, loaded Tahoes and Suburbans are $9,000 off MSRP, and loaded Chevy Silverado Z71s are $24,960. With great incentives, plus TNC's huge holiday discounts, you'll save thousands. The best prices, selection, and service are waiting for you at TNC Chevy's holiday year-end sale. It's an American revolution. Only at Town & Country Chevrolet in Milwaukee. Drive home happy.
Hello? Oh, hi, Mom. Today? House hunting? No, he'll be with us.
Must be cbseal.com. See every house in the market in one place. The interactive home search finds everything close to where you want to live. Use it to pre-qualify, check the payment, and find a realtor. Looking for a new home? Watch the Tour of Homes, brought to you daily by Coldwell Banker Barbara Sue Seal Properties on Comcast Cable Channel 15.
The price of gold has changed. Now you can get extra cash. Recycle old gold scraps, gathering dust. Call the number on your screen for quick cash. The Gold Kit is absolutely free. Send old rings, charms, dental scrap, and more.
I got $600 for my scrap gold.
It's easy. Call the toll-free number now. We'll mail you the kit and payment information with a check to follow promptly. Gold Kit and postage are free. Your satisfaction guaranteed. Call the number on your screen now or visit goldkit.com.
PD Exposed is brought to you by
American Laser Centers. Go to pdexposed.com now and register for your chance to win $1,500 in laser hair removal from American Laser Centers. Feels sexy for winter. Register to win now at pdexposed.com.
From all of us at CNN, best wishes for 2007.
And now, Heroes, our weekly tribute to the men and women in uniform who serve this country. Tonight, we introduce you to Senior Chief Hospital Corpsman Reginald Dean. During his 22 years with the Navy, he's risked his own life to care for soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines in combat situations. His courageous actions in northern Iraq in 2005 earned him the Bronze Star. Bill Tucker reports.
Tal Afar was one of the most dangerous places in Iraq until a major U.S. offensive in 2005. It was here that Senior Chief Hospital Corpsman Reginald Dean was assigned to care for American and Iraqi soldiers and to train Iraqis to become combat medics. But soldiers weren't his only patients.
If they found out that a doc was with the group, then they'd come over and ask, Doctor, we need this, or we need this kind of supply, or this child is sick. Can you take a look at him? And we would render aid.
On April 12, 2005, a suicide bomb exploded at a nearby checkpoint. Hearing that there were casualties, Senior Chief Dean risked his own life by racing to the scene in an unarmored Iraqi ambulance.
The explosion happened here, and you can see how close the cars were to it. He went past the checkpoint, drove down into this area, and exploded the car, thus killing people in these cars.
10 Iraqis were killed. Senior Chief Dean performed triage on the wounded, including a 4-year-old boy with head injuries. Dean, a father of 2 sons, stayed with the boy until he was medevaced to safety.
You see their faces and you take care of them and you want to embrace them and know what hell they're going through. Say,
That bond is even stronger with the men and women in uniform.
You would go with them anywhere, and I know that's what our job is as hospital corpsmen, is to be there with them, to give them that support, whether or not it's moral support or putting a bandage on them if they've cut their finger, or taking care of them when they have life-threatening injuries. How many years you got flying?
The Navy credits Senior Chief Dean with saving the lives of nearly 50 soldiers and civilians wounded in 6 separate roadside bombs. He also provided care for hundreds of Iraqi patients. Bill Tucker, CNN.
For their heroism, hospital corpsmen are the most decorated enlisted personnel in the U.S. Armed Forces. Senior Chief Dean has no immediate plans to return to Iraq, but says he would go if asked. Still ahead, the results of tonight's poll and more of your thoughts.
Let me tell you about a very important phone call I made. When I got my Medicare card, I realized I needed an AARP Medicare Supplement insurance card too.
One simple call gave me the chance to talk with a personal health insurance advisor
Who answered all my questions about Medicare Supplement plans, so I could understand it all. After I called, I was able to choose the plan that was right for me.
If you're already on or eligible for Medicare, call now to find out how an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan, insured by United Healthcare Insurance Company, helps you pay some of the 20% of your medical expenses not covered by Medicare Part B. That can save you from paying thousands of dollars out of your own pocket. These are the only Medicare Supplement Insurance plans exclusively endorsed by AARP, a name you trust. When you call now, we'll send you this free information kit with all you need to enroll, so you can join the millions of people who've already trusted us for their Medicare Supplement insurance. Plus, we'll send you this free guide to understanding Medicare.
The prices are competitive. I can keep my own doctor and choose my own hospital.
and I don't need a referral to see a specialist.
Call now to get the free information kit. Plus will include this free Medicare guide. And the advantages don't end there. You can choose from a wide range of plans that are all competitively priced, so you can find a plan that best fits your needs and budget. There are virtually no claim forms to fill out. And best of all, they're the only Medicare supplement plans endorsed by AARP.
When they told me these plans were endorsed by AARP,
I had only one thing to say.
Sign me up.
Call now, 1-800-495-9137, and let us help you choose the right plan. So call now, 1-800-495-9137, and find out about an AARP Medicare Supplement Insurance Plan. A personal health insurance advisor is waiting for your call.
Special Investigations Unit. The whole story revealed. No compromise. No limits. Get ready. CNN Special Investigations Unit. Series premiere. Saturday, January 20th only on CNN.
Closed captioning provided by Head On. Head On applied directly to the forehead.
Head On applied directly to
Head On applied directly to the forehead. Head On apply. Head On. I hate your commercial, but I love your product.
Head On is available without a prescription.
And now the results of tonight's poll. 84% of you say local communities should be able to enact their own immigration legislation. Time now for more of your thoughts. Clifford in California. Now that we've outsourced the majority of our military interests and determined that it's too expensive to maintain our naval shipyards, perhaps we can ask China to build our warships along with their own. Dennis in Pennsylvania, China doesn't need a bigger army to conquer the United States. Thanks to our generous Congress, they can now afford to buy us. Ryan in California, anonymous lawsuits are allowed. Does that mean I can now anonymously sue the ACLU for assisting illegal aliens? I certainly would feel justified in doing so. Terry in Illinois, the largest sponsor of illegal aliens is not the ACLU, corporate America, or special interest groups. It's the U.S. government.